It is Tuesday night in the IWC, and that can only mean one thing, folks. It is time for the fastest rising pro wrestling live stream podcast in the world. It is time for Tooney Talk Wrestling. Folks, my name is Marvin, and I am the movie monster, and I am joined, as always, by my all-star panel. First, my co-host with the most. He is the king of the small tank tops, though he is wearing more of a sleeveless shirt tonight. The one and only American way, Kevin Apollo.
Sleeveless hoodie, brother, changing it up for the summer.
You're going, you're all like, like the Lord of Darkness tonight, I guess.
Yes.
We can finally get some Sith representation.
That is my word. You can't use it.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So also joining us this week, as always, is our good friend from the world of Maxed Out Media, the amazing Lost Media YouTube channel, our friend AEW Disciplinary Committee, aka Dis. And hello, Dis. Welcome back.
Hi. This will be a fun show. We got a lot going on.
You've got the acorn that usually goes on a baby chocobo's butt on your head.
Yeah, I gave up being clever. I'm just gonna get the weirdest thing I see and put it on my head.
We should all just give up on being clever because we're all so far behind the eight ball. And of course, folks, also here this week and back by popular demand, Awful Wrestling.
Hey. What's happening, everybody?
Listed as Tooney Town tenant. Does that mean I can start charging you rent?
Yes. Actually, I take care of your sewage system. So, yeah, no.
You know what? And so I would say Beard is the one that producer Neckbeard in the chat is the one who typically takes care of the sewage, as he's always moderating the chat. But we can find you a job as well. And returning this week, folks, our special guest from the world of MMA, from the world of UFC, from the world of TNA wrestling. Please welcome the one and only Ant Evans back to the show. Welcome back, my friend.
Hey guys, how's it going on?
Man, how you doing, brother?
It's happening.
Another week in paradise. We just got.
I don't know why you were. Why'd you take a shot at me though? You put MMA analyst at the top. I mean, what I do in my privacy in my own home is really no business of yours. So.
You know what? That's all awful. So please direct all threats of bodily harm to Awful Wrestling. He is, he is the one that takes care of all that. So any anal threats or anything anal in any direction should be sent his way.
Okay.
Right, what time is it?
Yeah. We're 4 minutes in. I think that that the opening eats up a good chunk of time, so we're not demonetized yet. And hey, there's nothing wrong with the word anal, Kevin Apollo. It's what you do with it that counts, like most things.
You have the problem, not me.
Exactly.
An analyst sounds like some kind of scientist that investigates anuses, so I don't see a problem with it at all.
I'm sure you don't, of all people. My goodness.
Maybe at NASA, maybe they investigate your anus. It's apparently it's time of the day to do dad jokes. So I apologize for lowering the tone immediately.
I just keep thinking of Jason's sensation in that one DX thing where he's like, I can't say sphincter on Monday Night Raw and get away with it. We do actually have a super chat to open up with. It is from a good friend, John JID999. It is directed at Ant. He says, Ant, I'm super new to UFC. Are there any really good documentaries or shows about the history of UFC or MMA out there that I should watch?
Oh, good question. You're limited. You're limited because the reason is UFC isn't big on documentaries. UFC is all about always like with Dana White at the helm, which he's been there for 24 years now. He's all promoters are like great white sharks. Yeah, they need forward. They need forward motion in order to continue to breathe. And my girlfriend's calling me. I'm going to get rid of her for a second. Sorry, guys. This was tremendous stuff.
No problem. It's live television, right?
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Wingman.
We can hear you. We just also hear the vibrating.
You guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear us? I think now you can't hear us.
You guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Oh boy.
He can't hear us.
All right.
Sorry, guys.
Hey, we got something to do in the meantime. Look at the super chats.
We do. So we will.
Okay.
Can you hear us now?
I can. That was my girlfriend calling me, I'm afraid, and I didn't know how to give her a message saying go away. How much of that did you hear before I was interrupted?
We heard all of it. You never dropped out. So continue on with what you were saying.
Yeah, UFC is like a. They don't want it's like a great white shark. They need forward momentum, or they don't. They cease to breathe. So Dana's all about the next show. He could give really two fucks. So you never hear Dana White talk about UFC 100 or UFC 200. And even though it was just a few months ago, you're not going to hear Dana White talk about UFC 300. He's on to the next one. So for you're limited on documentaries. What the UFC did do a really good one, I think, for the 25 years. Anniversary that there are a series of like 10 to 30 minute documentaries. I can't remember the name, but they're on Fight Pass. Those are pretty good. You've basically got a lot of what they call the Zuffa myths, which is not completely faithful. It's a little bit like the Vince McMahon version of WWE history. You got to take it with a pinch of salt. There's a really good Pride documentary that's actually on YouTube. That's really good about the Pride organization. There's a great one with Dustin Poirier called I think Fightland. So long answer is there's a handful, but there's no real documentary to really like catch up with the first 30 years of UFC, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so
not
there's
so much.
Go ahead, Dis.
Oh, I was gonna say. I was just butting in with a suggestion. Not so much about the history, but as an intro to UFC, those first few seasons of Ultimate Fighter were really good. I know a lot of people who got into UFC through that, and it teaches you a lot about what it is and why people do it and that kind of thing. So I'd recommend that too, personally.
Yeah,
but
Ultimate Fighter was a great series back in the day. I wonder how younger fans watching it for the first time now might react to it.
I think I watched the first season, and I remember the finals just being like a knockdown, drag out, like punch in the face match.
Yeah,
I think that was the first season. Like,
that was Stephen Bottom versus Forrest Griffin, which is that's the fight that basically turned everything around. But before that fight, again, there's Zuffa myth. The honest thing is that the ratings were so good. UFC did a time buy on Spike TV. Where they followed Raw, and they bought the time. They had to pay a bunch of money, and it was in the millions for that hour. And it was that was the last throw of the dice. That Lorenzo Frank Fertitta were like, shit, we're burning through money here. There's no signs of it really turning around after 5 years. So they did a Hail Mary. They had a reality TV was a big thing at the time. They threw money at it. Nobody wanted it from them, so they bought their way on to Spike. The ratings were fantastic. So even before the final, there was going to be a deal where Spike were then going to pay the UFC rather than the other way around. But that fight between Forrest and Stephen, God rest his soul, was about as good as it got at the time. Watching back now, with the hype. You mean, was it that good? But in its day, it was fantastic.
It was insane. I remember I went to a UFC like big event, like a pay-per-view, long before it was like mainstream. And it was a lot of ground grappling, a lot of stuff like that. So the crowd was kind of down for a lot of it. The biggest pop of the night was Tank Abbott was sitting in the front row. And at one point, like the crowd just started chanting for him, and he like put his leg over the barricade, like he was gonna jump in the octagon. And I'll never forget that. Rex,
have you ever heard the Dave? Sorry, have you ever heard the Dave Meltzer tell his Tank Abbott story?
No, I've not.
So Dave Meltzer.
We'll get to you in a second, Rex.
So Dave Meltzer's saying early UFC, because Meltzer was a judge in the early UFCs. He would just pick a winner out of the 3 judges before the 10-8 more system, any of that. And so Meltzer saw the potential of the UFC before many others did. And anyway, he was sitting next to Kevin Randleman, who was a UFC champion, Hall of Famer. And Tank Abbott's sitting right in front of him. David and Kevin are in the second row. Tank Abbott's in the front row, sitting next to another big biker type with a big mustache. And all of a sudden, the 2 guys, the two tough biker guys, start making out right in front of them. Oh yeah. And Kevin Randleman turns to Meltzer and goes, "Could you see that too, or are the mushrooms hitting?"
Fantastic. Rex Gardner for 5. Is that euros or is that? I think that's euros, right? That symbol.
Rupees.
You guys are all too American for this. Besides anal threats, ensure to inform Michael P.S. Hayes when you plan on showering so he can give you a physical exam. Very good. I love our audience so much. Oh my goodness. Jose What with $40 super chat. My goodness. Thank you so much, man. He says, damn it, I finally joined a live. Take my money for your bourbon, Marvin. I will do that. I will 100% do that. Thank you so much, man. I feel like that earns you a John Cena apology.
你好，中国，这是叫希娜。我爱更尊重中国，更中国人。我很棒。
I realize it's not as good with the super chat in front of it because you can't see what. So hold on.
Has anybody noticed besides me that John Cena is starting to look more like Ernest P. Worrell as he gets older?
Yes.
你好，中国，这是叫希娜。我爱更尊重中国，更中国人。我很抱歉对我的错误，对不起，我很抱歉。你必须了解，我很爱、很尊重中国跟中国人。不好意思，再见。
Daijin. Oh man. Thank you so much, Joe. That was very, very generous. Yeah, that was amazing. BT23 for $2 says, right last week, Page winning Owen Hart, have him win title. I guess it's what we said last week with Hangman is going to be the wild card. He's going to go on. They're going to do him and Swerve again. And so Dis, I believe that was you, Dis. You hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah, isn't it sad that they just blew through the Jeff Jarrett thing that quickly? And by the way, if you look at the breakdown of the ratings, which you can find on my Twitter page, the highest rated segment was Jeff Jarrett's match against.
I really have to commend you for the painstaking levels of work that you go to compile those ratings, those quarter hours. Just well done, fantastic. Making them available for everyone for free.
I count each person individually, actually. The different, but yeah, it's sad to me. Jarrett was on such a roll, man, and they just kind of like, if you're gonna do the wild card thing, why put him against Jarrett? Why not let Jarrett get
Jarrett had the I was Owen Hart's tag team partner story going for him. Like the one interesting story going into this that's about Owen Hart.
And they used it. It's not like they avoided it or anything. They pushed it on TV. They used it. He cut promos. He was being cheered like he was a babyface. And then they kill him off in the first round against Page. It just boggles my mind. They could have they got ratings from it. If you look at the quarter breakdowns, the ratings went up for that match, and it might have been the wild card, but I think Jared had a lot to do with it too. And you could have taken that at least 2 or 3 weeks. You didn't have to blow it all in the first round, but hey, what do I know? I don't run a company, right? I'm not a billionaire.
If AEW were smart, they would have used, I said this last time, they would have used Jeff Jarrett in the same way that ECW used Terry Funk in order to tell that story. It didn't have to be 2-3 weeks. It could have been 8, 9, 10 weeks. But of course, we already know one track mind Tony Khan is not going to go for that.
If AEW were smart, none of us would be sitting here right now.
Exactly.
Look, Tony Khan has created a lot of opportunities for a lot of people in the professional wrestling sphere, myself among them. So I thank God every day for Tony Khan. Every day that he does something, I'm like, here we go. Off to the every time I'm like, man, we haven't done headlines in a while. He hasn't done anything stupid in a while. And then he just fires something out. And I'm like, the gift that keeps on giving. If he ever stopped like tweeting, I don't know what I would do. I'd have to start making stuff up.
That's like AEW in a nutshell, though. Like it's become like a trope from the AEW defenders to say, no, we have stories. It's like, yeah, you do, but if you blink, you miss them. Like that was, like you say, that was an 8, 9, 10 week story with Jeff Jarrett, because he wasn't just his Owens tag team partner. He was the guy they cut to. It was the first face we saw after the accident. And he had to cut a promo where they knew something terrible. They didn't know that Owen was, dead, but they knew something awful had happened. And he had to cut that promo. So I've still got, watching that live, all these 25 years later, I've still got that. And it's 25 years as well, like everything's there. But in their mind, in AEW's mind, we told that story, but you missed one episode and you didn't see it. How does that build? How does that build interest? I mean, you could have had him go to the final, then lose to a heel, and the heel scoop all that heat, and leave the ring with all the heat, and Jeff Jarrett be in the ring, like, God, looking up like I tried Owen, and then go and tell the story like he did Owen proud. He wrestled the matches of his lifetime at his age, 25 years later, motivated by the man. But just have him beat by, when we're back to like the acrobatics, bring out the fucking Power Rangers,
Yeah, let the cowboy with the butterfly pants beat him.
Yeah,
that's what everybody
wants. Let's go with that instead.
Because we have to interject this into the Young Bucks storyline, because that's what people clearly want to see. God. There's like a whole conversation.
Sorry to hijack, but did you guys see fucking my boy Eric Bischoff go off on the Bucks for not walking past the gym in like 6 years?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I saw that was out there. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
Oh, where did that come from?
He was so poor Eric. I'm like, guys, it's like, look, everybody likes you reacting to WWE pay-per-views or PLEs, but they love you reacting to AEW, because I don't want to watch it 4 hours of AEW, and I'm like, well, the algorithm does, and you told me that you listen to what I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying. So I made him listen, and he's like texting me throughout, I hate you. But to be fair, he loved the Ospreay. He'll get to that later, but he loved the Ospreay. Okay. But his thing was like fucking Box and Jungle. He always calls him Jungle Jack off. Is like, why do they look like that? Don't they have a gym membership? Mm-hmm. I mean, seriously, if you told me like back in the day, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were mad at me, I'd sleep with a gun under my pillow for the rest of my life.
Right.
You told me the Bucks are coming at me. I'm like, oh yeah, which one of those wants it first?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh
my God, that's amazing. Yeah, no, I did see that. It's so funny. Does that conversation sound familiar to you? You really should react to AEW pay-per-views. No, I don't want to watch AEW for 4 hours, because that's a conversation that you and I have had. This tells you all. This is Ant in this conversation, and I am Eric Bischoff. We have this conversation every month. Marv, we really should go live during one of the AEW pay-per-views. I do not want to sit through that. I have, but
how about this? How about this? What about the time that you made me sit through the 5-hour AEW pay-per-view and then we talked about it for 5 minutes on the show? Like while I was in the bathroom,
that's
you
cool.
guys
You know
talked
what?
about it.
You know what? I have also made you sit through several episodes of The Acolyte. So
You have.
I guess I do owe you. I do owe you some. But yes, I did see that clip. I got to actually watch the full clip. I mean, I love Eric's new show that he's doing, the Wise Choices. I think that's a fantastic show. I mean, I like that he's just by himself and he's just like reacting and jaw-jacking with people. I like that a lot.
Right.
So AEW Neckbeard, our producer extraordinaire for a Tooney, says, "Ant, more Brock stories, please."
Oh God.
Really want you to talk about Brock Lesnar more.
So oh God, Alistair Overeem, when he came over, if you remember Alistair, he won every belt there was in outside the UFC, including kickboxing. He was the only guy at the time who had a legit world championship in kickboxing, as well as a credible non-UFC world title or two in MMA. So no, he looked like him. He was just jacked out,
right,
like crazy. I mean, he looked like a condom stuffed with walnuts, and he was just crazy built. And we had him versus Brock. When everyone was like, Dana was like, we just need a photo of these two fuckers standing next to each other, and we're going to sell pay-per-views. It's like crazy. Hey, Brock was coming back from his diverticulitis, and I was happy to be there. But Alistair knew he needed basically cut a promo without knowing the term, but he didn't know what to say. I'm like, all you got to say is, "I'm going to kick your phony ass back to phony wrestling." And just keep saying that. Just every time he says something, it's like, "I'm going to retire. You're going to go back to wrestling," and he did. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happened. But yeah. But after the. Well, did I tell you about when Brock walked out on that's the story I told last time when he walked out on
walked out on the interviews when he was like, right. you've got ride down. He
I went to Alistair and I begged him like, "Hey, this is your chance to be the company guy. We paid for the satellite time. I'm going to call Dana White and tell him Brock's left. I want to say, but Alistair stayed and kicked ass." So he took that advice, and he beat the shit out of Brock, and it was fucking tremendous. And Alistair came back afterwards and went right in front of everyone, because you're not supposed to have biases, obviously, when you work at the UFC. You're not supposed to, but you get close with people who their family, they're fighting for their kids, the backstory, and the mom has all this, so you can't help but be swayed. So, but I really got along with Alistair, and he goes, "Hey, Ant," I'm like, "That okay for you?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's
okay." Wait, he said that to you while he was walking back from the fight?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Brock was right there, like just looking like a truck had run over him, and he quit to a body shot, which really, you could name about 10 fighters ever who've lost to body shots in the UFC, and Brock's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
One of my favorite like UFC memes I've ever seen. It was Ronda with the last fight that she lost, and it was Simba from the Lion King, like standing up like against her the way he was when Mufasa died. I laughed so hard when I saw that.
I love Ronda.
I know you do.
She's great. Always great with me.
Cat TV for $2 says, "Did Ant interact with Jim Cornette while in TNA?" That was probably before your time there, right?
Yeah, I look forward to time. And I got on there during the pandemic, so I kind of work remote, So I know with a few guys face to face, and whenever they're in town in Vegas, I go meet a couple of friends of mine. The ones I have left, because I've been burning the boats ever since. It's one thing to like stab me in the back. You stab my friends in the back, fuck you. And they stabbed my friend Scott D'Amore in the back. So, Ariel Sherney, you're a piece of shit, and you are. And you got to run that company into the ground along with Invicta.
So you need those horns, Marv.
I need. Mish recommended a soundboard to me, and I just haven't gotten around to looking into it yet. That's what running 2 channels by yourself does. John JID 999 says, if Meltzer judged any Asian UFC guy, immediate W. Yeah. If it's in the Tokyo Dome, even better. Good Lord. Johnny Cage for $10 says, something AEW fans should worry about is not ratings or attendance numbers, but when it is no longer fun for Tony. That's actually very true. Like,
very
that moment where he has like that Rick Sanchez moment where he's like, all right, I just got bored. Everybody out.
And that could be any day now.
Oh yeah. No, like
think about it.
It's keeping his attention thus far. So, you know, but I think it's the praise that he gets from the AEW fans that kind of keeps it going. Because look, I will tell you, when people are high on your work, you know, it is a great feeling. It is a high that you can ride, and I think he's just kind of had a prolonged version of that. I just don't think he, you know, funnels that.
When does
into
reality set in though? Like when does when does this happen?
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, he doesn't have to worry about how much money he makes because he doesn't need to make any money. The only reason he has to worry about making money and hitting ratings is for him to get that renewal from WBD. And that's the long and short of it. Shaggy Phil 73 for $2. Did Ant watch Masvidal and Diaz boxing match?
I did, not live. I did. So yeah, I was kind of publicly kind of like shitting on it because Nate Diaz, and again, I like Nate personally. He was always great to work with. You know, I always found him easy to work with, where a lot of people found him impossible. But he's been phoning it in for a long time. He now admitted he admitted leading into this fight that he hadn't trained at all, basically, for the Jake Paul fight, and I think he alluded to one or two others. It was obvious he hadn't trained for Jake Paul. It was obvious. But the fact that he admitted it, thought, you know what, I like Nate. I'm interested in Masvidal. I'll watch it. So I actually watched it Sunday morning without spoilers, and they put on a good show. It was a good fight. You know, not sure it was worth whatever it was, $70, but
$70. That was boxing people.
Something like that. Something like it might have been 80. I don't know.
What was it? What was a Tyson fight back in the day? Was it 50 at that time? Was it
at one point it was 40? You know, going back, 30 years.
Speaking, hey, you know what? You just brought up Jake Paul and Tyson. I think since the last time we talked about that, there's been an update now. Tyson's not going, right? Isn't Tyson?
Oh, is it canceled? Is it off?
I heard that they moved it back.
No, they moved it back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he got
replaced. So on my boy Ariel Hawani's show, they had Nikisa, who used to work with me at the UFC, and he runs Jake Paul's whole operation. They came back and offered Netflix all sorts of opponent, you know, even floated Jake Paul versus Logan Paul in a boxing match. And Netflix were like, no, we want this. And so they released Jake from the date, and now on that date he's going to be fighting God, why am I blanking on the name? Bare knuckle guy, Mike Perry, who's another MMA guy who's very good at bare knuckle boxing, but is basically a welterweight against a light heavyweight. You know, typical Jake Paul. You know, he needs to be the younger and the bigger and the stronger, or he doesn't play. But yeah, the rescheduling it, I wouldn't bet $1,000. I'd bet $100 that fight never happens. Tyson Jake Paul.
Wow, you heard it here first, folks.
I was gonna say, do you think someone in their camps came to their senses and were like, we can't do this?
No, because you know everyone involved has got their hand out, and not for a high five either. You know, Tyson had some sort of episode at an airport where you know. He basically, I think it's like some sort of liver problems. I can't remember, but it was like, my dad gets that. My dad's in his 70s.
Oh shit!
You know, it's like it's terrible. Like, dude, he got his butt kicked by Kevin McBride 25 years ago.
Yeah,
because he couldn't fight for more than 10 seconds a round. I mean, that's improved, has it? Since 2004? Of course it hasn't.
Rex Gardner checking in for €5, saying Marko Stunt being in the ring will increase calls to Child Protective Services, as people tuning in will think they are watching men beat up a child.
As many of you saw, I swore to God that was a fake tweet.
I thought so too. I thought so too. For certain, I was like, "There's no way that's real." That somebody did a really convincing edit here, and then I looked and I was like, "Oh my God, they actually brought Marko Stunted growth back."
Yep.
Yeah, we were in the Discord talking Money in the Bank, and all of a sudden Marvin goes, "Wait a second, is that real?" And then he disappeared for like 20 minutes. I'm just picturing him writing stuff down, like taking notes. Okay, what I need, like coming up with jokes for headlines or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. I kind of figured out how to work it, so hopefully it works. But yeah,
did we still find out about the 0.0 demo?
Well, I think Thurston was disputing it today, wasn't he?
The numbers he put out, the numbers he put out were like, it were higher. I'm not sure what they were. It wasn't that much higher. It was only like 0.6 or 0.06 or something like that. But they were higher. So
I guess really, yeah. If there wasn't that much movement on the number, it's pretty much true then.
Right.
It's legitimately nobody in that demo watched that show.
Yeah, all of a sudden everyone's going to stop talking about the key demo, right? Because it's the key demo until it's not. And then it's live, and then it's live crowds until it's not, and then it's cage match ratings until someone says that's dumb.
Yeah.
And you
saw what the goofball did, didn't you? He went from 18 to 49 and stopped praising them, and then he went from that to 18 to 34 and he's starting to pinpoint next week he's going to be like 21 to 23-year-olds really like my stuff. I mean,
I'm telling you, I made the joke this last week on Headlines. I said the key demo, the number of Tony Khans that watched and enjoyed this show has been the same week to week since the start of AEW. Strong number at 100% of Tony Khans that watched this show enjoyed it, and that's the only key demo that matters.
Right.
But I mean, like Marko, look, I'm not one that's like small guys can't be wrestlers. I'm not one of, like, Shawn Michaels exists, Danielson exists. Like that, you can be a good wrestler and be a small guy. Rey Mysterio exists. Marko Stunt is a step too far. He is a
Rey Mysterio. Like, he looked like an athlete. He looked like a small athlete, but he looked like an athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, the young bucks. I mean, they might have athletes' feet. That's about as old Jerry Lawler joke might be as far as it goes.
I always talk about whenever we talk about the Hardys, both Hardys are over 6 feet tall. They were just smaller men.
Smaller than the giants they were wrestling, but they were still in shape.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when you put Matt and Jeff in a crowd, they're big men. They're bigger than
I expected.
They're small compared to Scott Effin Hall.
Exactly. Imagine how many dealers Jeff Hardy had to see back in the day, but he still swung by the gym for an hour every day. What's the box excuse?
When I met Mick Foley for the first time, I expected him to be like my height, like around 6 feet tall. I could not believe the size of that man.
Yeah, he's deceptively tall.
You're a 6 foot tall puppet.
Yeah.
Well,
I typically stand on boxes. It's like one of the head characters you find at Walt Disney World. I expected Foley to be kind of like, like a normal person size, but then I realized, like, no, he just looks like that because he's standing next to the Undertaker. Yeah. I met Ron Simmons one time, and I was like, oh my God, he's enormous. It's you don't realize how massive these human beings are until you stand in their presence. And like that. Remember that used to be like one of the things to like push live events. They'd be like, folks, if you've never been to see the Big Show and live in person, you got to come see him because he's big.
Omos,
then you look at Marko Stunt. You know what I mean? That's your niece.
Marko Stunt is
my
Kevin Apollo.
daughter is bigger than Marko Stunt.
Right.
My 9-month-old son is bigger than Marko Stunt.
Kevin Apollo, you have always said that the guy you have to convince at a wrestling show is not the kids, it's their dad.
It's always dad. Dad's the one who's wasting his Saturday to go watch this. And if he's sitting there going, I can whip this guy's ass without even trying, you're not going back. You're not going back. When you have a dad like my dad, who would sometimes get a little lit before the show and may have accidentally taken a swing or two at a wrestler.
I remember. Yeah. They're lucky he didn't make contact, by the way, because your father. Outside of Haku, I don't think there's a wrestler that your dad couldn't take. But yes,
we won't drop the person's name, but he was mentioned on the Cornette Experience once or twice, and I remember we were at some high school somewhere, and my dad had a couple of libations, and this wrestler came out, and he was talking shit, and I think my dad misunderstood what he said, so my father got a little fired up. So got a little fired up and came charging, and the rest was like, "Oh shit, Kev, you gotta calm your pops down. If he comes back here, you gotta calm him down, or at least walk me to my car. I don't care what you do, but I can't be doing this tonight."
How big was your dad?
My dad, when I was in high school, everybody called my dad Farouk. That's how big my dad. That's how big my dad was in his prime.
They call him Farouk.
It's not even just that he's a big man, Ant. It's that he exudes I know how to kill you energy.
Yeah.
He's a guy who you like. You just see the way he carries himself, and you understand that this is a human being that knows his way around combat.
Right. So for frame of reference, I don't think we ever talked about it here. My dad was NYPD. He worked in narcotics forever. He was the number 2 drug enforcement officer.
Just like Tony Khan.
Then he went to Baltimore, was their police commissioner for a little bit. After that, he transferred over to private security. Now he trains other countries' secret service officers in hand-to-hand combat and firearms training. Several black belts, all kinds of cool shit, and every once in a blue moon, we go do some work for Paramount for like movies and other crap like that. So.
Tell them about the bounties.
Oh yeah. So that's fine. And so when I was younger, we lived in the Bronx. I was going to Catholic school, and then out of nowhere, I didn't know any better. I was being driven and picked up from school in a squad car, and they would bring, they show up at the house, they bring us in, and then I would I would leave school, go to the precinct, and then unmarked car would drive us home. What we didn't know until years later was that when the Jamaicans had come into the Bronx, it kind of changed everything over. They had a bounty out on my father, and they had actually taken a picture inside of our home, threatening to blow it up. So we had security the entire time. This would happen like 15 more times throughout the years. It's like I get a random phone call. Hey, you need to change how you're driving home for the next couple of weeks. If you see anything weird, just call this phone number.
Oh shit! I was playing kickball with 45-year-old men.
Yeah, it's like I can't.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Yeah. I gotta say, hey, I think we were gonna go to I can't remember where we were, but I was like, hey, listen, my father-in-law, he wants to bring us to Mexico. And that's like, where do you want to go? Tell him where we're gonna go. You can't commit to anything until I make a couple phone calls. I got to make sure it's actually safe enough for you to be there, because if they see your name, because it's my name, we're never going to see you again.
The drug cartel. But didn't he call one of the the Jamaican kingpins when they put the bounty in?
Oh yeah, we can't. We will be demonetized in 5 minutes.
Edit yourself. Do a radio.
All right. So
speak.
So okay. So I do love this story. So I think he had to be like newly. I think this is maybe a couple months after him being a lieutenant. So he finds out that all these drug guys got together. It was like a newer guy, and they put a bounty on him. So my dad knew who to call. So he grabs the phone, calls it, and goes, "Hey, I heard you put a bounty on me." He's like, "I'm actually insulted because it's so effing low." And the guy's like, what you mean? Why are you upset? He goes, well, I would think that because as a man who just bleeped your girlfriend, that I'd be worth more. If I'm not worth more, I got your mother here right now. She's on my D. You hear her? And like he's just railing into it. And then the phone call is like, you mother, I kill you. I kill you. And then I'm trying. This is a really hard story to edit.
It's a hard story to edit. I know. Just amazing.
Jesus, that season in Miami, New York Vice would have been lit. Fucking hell.
Denzel observed my father in the street for him. It was a terror movie with him and Bruce Willis and Annette Bening, and he rode with him for like a month. And ever since like he rode with him, he totally stole all of my father's mannerisms. So here's go. Training Day is my evil father's movie.
Oh my gosh!
Oh wow! I just thought we got
the midgets.
So we had a guy who was like undercover, was training like different secret service around the world, but he was a wrestling mark.
Yeah, but he's a wrestling mark.
He could solve all these crimes, but he thought wrestling was legit, and he was taking pokes at the heels.
He would go watch me wrestle and then drink, and get lit up, and then get fired up. And he's like one of those like because he's martial arts the whole bit. He is super into like the physicality of it. Like he gets that it's all predetermined, but he's like he loves the combat of it. So he'll see certain wrestlers and what's Mo's wrestling? Mario Caro, but he is just where he got to TNA. My father loved Mo. Mo was like one of his favorite dudes ever. And every time he would see it, he'd be, bro, you're a warrior. You're a killer. You got to dig in, man. You got to hit a little harder. You could do all that flying shit, but look at you. You're built like an ox, bro. You just got to throw heads. You got to get in there deep. So he's just one of those guys. Like he's a big beefy man slapping meat guy. If you're just a big hoss, he wants to see you throw some
guys. Holy crap! Colin Taylor from flying. Colin Taylor with the $50 super chat. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Wow. Fantastic. He says, Marvin, we have to talk. My 11-year-old won't stop singing your parody songs at home. Now he's saying he wants to grow up to be a pro wrestler. Either that or a rabbi. True story. I don't know which one you make more money in.
Hey.
No, because rabbis get paid. It's not like right. It's not like a priest where they don't get paid.
Right, of course.
No, but 50, Colin. Thank you so much. You are always here. You're
to
always showing
piggyback
up
on
for
that.
us. Yes.
What happened?
Yes, this.
Oh, okay, me. Since Max was on your show, he won't shut up about Kev wrestling bears. That's all he wants to talk about.
Well, Kev fighting. It's not much of a wrestling a bear. It's fighting a bear. But maybe we'll circle in on some bear talk later because we've kind of strayed away from wrestling a little bit. So, but Colin, thank you so much. This is truly appreciated. We love having you guys. Let me see if I've got another one that we can. You've earned some Roddy Piper.
I have never heard so many lies in my entire life, other than when I was saying them.
I love that clip. You know what? You've also earned a.
Everything is sexist. Everything is racist. Everything is homophobic. And you have to point it all out.
And you've earned.
Yes.
God, I hate her.
I hate that one.
You're playing these clips just 48 hours after I got put on the no-fly list on Instagram.
Yes. Trying. Shaggy Filth 73 for $5. God, could you imagine a Mike Perry and Jake Paul press conference? Couldn't pay the person making the subtitles enough money to decipher that mess. Oh my goodness, that would be something. All right,
they already kind of had a preview. They were on the Ariel Helwani show together to announce the fight, and Perry had the line that Jake Paul is softer than baby shit.
Jeez.
Which is so kindergarten, but it's also like, that's good. I don't know why. I don't quite understand why that's such a good line, but it is.
It's universal. Everyone knows.
By the way, I just saw people in the chat saying about Colin's son, wrestling rabbi. It could be a good gimmick. the rabbi of the wrestling rabbi. I like that. Book it. Kevin Apollo, book it. All right. So Money in the Bank just passed. We just had a huge PLE. So I was a little late starting this. I was about 7:30 and I was like, okay, about time to turn on the pre-show and get ready to watch some wrestling. And when I turned it on, it was in the middle of the men's Money in the Bank match. And I was like, oh, okay. Apparently it started at 7. So we're going to start with that match, but I'm going to have you lead the discussion on that match because I did not see a lot of it. So what did you think about this one?
To me, I like this better than the women's Money in the Bank. The women's Money in the Bank is getting a lot of attention, but
it is, and I didn't like it, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, but this one, it was they didn't rely on huge spots, and there were only a few like mousetrap weird contraption spots. It was a lot of just hard hits and good wrestling mixed with ladders somehow. Like they pulled off a good one. I like the Drew one. I like that they got it out of the way so we don't have to spend a year with Drew carrying that thing around again. So I think the right person won, and I liked it better than the women's, but I know I'm in the minority there. I was never one for the big spots in the ladder matches. I don't know why. I always like more
the big spots, and that's what a ladder match is made for, is the big spots, isn't it? Like, I mean, you had Andrade. Didn't Andrade have like a "notice me" like kind of spot in there at some point?
He did. I go back to like the Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon one, right? Where there were spots, but the ladder created drama. That's what it was about. It was about the drama of climbing the ladder and getting that title. And so when matches are booked around the ladder instead of matches being booked for the ladder, I prefer that personally. And there were some of that, and Andrade did a little goofy thing, and there were contraption spots, but it wasn't like it was years ago when Kofi used to get five ladders, and another guy would come in and he would help him set up the ladder, and then 2 other guys would go on the other side of the ring, and they take 5 minutes to set something up before they do a spot. It was more of just a match around ladders, and I appreciate that. But as I said, the right person won. I'm glad they didn't have a ton of interference like everyone was guessing. Like people were thinking the Wyatts were going to interfere. People were thinking Otis was going to interfere. People were thinking the Bloodline was going to interfere. People were saying that, CM Punk, AJ Lee, people were thinking was going to interfere for some reason. Yeah, that was a rumor.
I did not hear that one. I think we've seen the last of AJ Lee. I think if she had any desire to come back in any way, I think it would have happened in AEW while Punk was there. Unless Punk got there his first day and was like, yeah, no, don't.
Isn't she still contracted to WoW anyway? Like she's an executive producer.
Is she?
I don't.
As a talent or as a
no, she's she'll put the show together.
Oh, it's her production company that does it. She has a production company. I don't think she's very involved anymore in WoW though. I think she was involved through the first season and then she kind of gave it to other people to do it. I don't know. After the show, they did the press conference and Punk was asked about it because it was that big of a rumor that someone's like, hey, was there any discussion about AJ coming in? And he basically said it's up to her. That's not, you'd have to ask her.
The rumor came about through his buddy Big E. In the pre-show, he had made mention of AJ Lee's theme song in one of his comments, and that's where the rumor started.
Okay.
Yeah.
That Big E, that rumor monger, Big E.
Yeah, really. And I knew everybody was going to get trolled by it because as soon as it happened, it was up on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all that. And it was just like, boy, worked them all.
She used to date Jay Lethal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Yeah.
Dropped him.
I remember. Well, yeah, there was an amazing quote from an ROH promo that Lethal cut. Somebody from WWE had come into ROH while Lethal was champion. I think Lethal was champion at the time. And whoever it was had just worked Punk like on a big stage. And he was like, I don't take CM Punk's sloppy seconds. He takes mine. And I was like, oh! Oh, man, they really need to use him more in AEW. I mean, like, why not just put him in ROH? He's one of the biggest ROH champions of all time. The guy gets it, man. Like, he's so good. I don't understand why Tony doesn't use him. Is it just that he's been there for so long and Tony just like can't see the forest from the trees and just forgets that he's there?
Just a
toy. It's not the new toy. He's already played with that toy. He's on to the next toy and the next toy, and like any spoiled kid, it's always the toy I don't have that gets the attention.
Yep. I'm shocked he hasn't done Black Machismo in AEW yet.
So, do you think there's a chance that Tony just really hated TNA? Because almost anybody that was a big TNA person just gets nothing. When he was working with TNA, he crapped all over him. Look what they did with Jarrett. They jobbed him out in the first round as soon as he's getting heat. Maybe he just doesn't like TNA, or maybe he holds a grudge against them because of Jacksonville Dixie thing, you know?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Scott D'Amore will always say how gracious Tony was, and easy to work with, and
as long as you don't make fun of him.
I got really butthurt because I was like into firing some zingers back, like I said the last time I was on your show, but like Scott put him over really big. Never had a bad word to say about him or any of the guys there. I mean, I know Len Asper, who owns Anthem, which owns TNA. He was not thrilled the way AEW was portrayed as basically completely big brothering, Impact Wrestling as it is. But you know what? They did give us, Kenny Omega, who was the hottest thing since sliced bread at the time, and it did get record biggest pay-per-view had in, I think, almost a decade, So I can see that, but I don't know. Everything that Scott said, including when he went on Dynamite, was like, Tony was like, "Did you like that? Was that okay for you?" And there was one point where Tony Khan and Scott D'Amore on camera were supposed to hug it out or something and talk about something, and it was just a little flat. And Tony goes, "Oh, is that okay? Is that okay?" And he's like, "You know what? Not really." And Tony's like, "Oh shit, we can do that again. I'm sorry. Did I hug too much? I'm just a hugger." And so Scott didn't have a bad word to say about it. Yeah, but I don't know. Did he hate? I mean, look, do you have to hate Impact Wrestling if you're the AEW boss? No, you just have to love your own company and book yourself as strong as the other side will let you book yourself against them.
Yeah, I meant more so about, like, as a fan, I'm wondering, because like I loved when TNA was going strong, I was all about TNA. I was Mr. TNA. So seeing those guys get misused is frustrating. And knowing that kind of fan that Tony is, he probably was really into Ring of Honor in the aughts. And then he got into Japanese wrestling in the 2010s and kind of bailed on Ring of Honor. And then he started AEW. So there's a good chance he missed he didn't really care about Jay Lethal's run in ROH and didn't like TNA because he was an ROH guy in the 2000s. Like that.
Maybe. Maybe. He was also a big enough fan of TNA to basically copy Christian's theme song.
True.
And then Scott was like, that sounds like his TNA theme song. Yeah. He was like, yeah. He goes, well, Scott was like, well, do you want the real one? Like, you would give that to us? I mean, how TNA got away with ripping off that riff from that Evanescence song, I'll never know.
Yeah.
So it's like what he was doing, Scott, was basically handing off stolen goods anyway. But Tony was thrilled to get the all I know is he was thrilled to get the original TNA theme for Christian.
Oh, good Lord.
Money in the bank. Sorry.
Money in the bank. Yes, indeed. So Drew winning, we all knew it was happening. We all knew that was coming. I'm a fan of the way they did it. I'm a fan of the way the match worked out from what I saw. There was one moment where I got very loud on my couch when it looked like Yeet Man was about to win it. Because, man, was I like, no, absolutely not. I cannot have this happen. I cannot have him come within striking distance of the, but he did get a pass from me for most of my rage because I believe that was the day of Sika's funeral.
Right.
I want to say.
Yes, he was buried that morning. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I saw footage from it. I saw Roman carrying the casket, that not by himself. Like, I mean, he probably could have, like, with having it on his shoulder. But no, like, Roman was one of the pallbearers, and it just, it looked like a very well attended affair. And rest in peace, Sika. But yeah, so the men's Money in the Bank match, it was what it was. I definitely did think it was a superior one. Jey Uso, Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, Chad Gable, LA Knight, Drew McIntyre. Who would you say was the MVP of this match?
I like excuse me. I like McIntyre.
You thought McIntyre did the best job?
Yeah, I think they nailed the finish with the javelin throw right to Jey Uso's chest, and McIntyre going up to win the ladder or win the briefcase. But yeah, I thought it was a great opener. I thought everybody pulled their weight, and it was a solid finish for me. Then things happened, that changed my mind, but. So,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Who do you mark as the MVP?
I agree with McIntyre. I think he did a great job. He was in there with a bunch of guys that don't wrestle the style that he's used to. And I think he did a great job selling. I think Chad Gable, he made Chad Gable look like $1 million every time they got, going together. And I loved the little thing that happened. It wasn't that, it was on SmackDown the night before where he came in with Chad. He came into Chad Gable and he's like, "You've been through enough. I'm not going to worry about you." While he was tearing down everyone else. But yeah, I think McIntyre in terms of making everyone else look good, which you don't see from a big man that often. And he did it in a way without lessening what he does, right? He didn't make himself, it wasn't like the AEW or even some of you remember when Apollo Crews was real buff, but he would still sell the little guys like they were that kind of stuff. It wasn't that kind of thing. It was more like they were taking him by surprise, but he would still do it right. I don't know. He was very smart about it, and I appreciated it.
That makes sense. All right. So next up was the goodness, I've lost my place where I had the card set up. The Intercontinental Championship, Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker. I think we all have some opinions on this. What the hell happened?
3 minutes tops. This match should have been over.
Should have been a 3-minute squash with entrances. Tell them what your son said.
Oh crap! You put me on the spot now because I don't remember. Vamp for a second.
I remember what he said. I could say you said that he was like, "I don't understand. If you're not going to have Braun Breaker win that match, why have the match in the match? Why have the match at all?"
Yeah, he said that.
Put Sammy over. Like, Sammy didn't need that. It helped no one.
It did nothing. And then they didn't here. Do you want to get in? Are we going to go sad Sammy right now? Because
you can go sad Sammy. That's fine.
Yes, everyone, check out this theory that is starting to grow some big ass legs. Listen to this.
You started this, and you're just going to make him more sad with this.
Okay.
He's going to complain to Booker T about it any minute.
So yeah, he went Booker T on his podcast did the whole thing where he said Sammy was sad because in the Sammy versus Chad Gable match before WrestleMania to earn the shot at Gunther, the crowd turned on him and the internet turned on him. And he said that he thought the fans loved him. And then Booker T went on his podcast and said that it made Sammy sad. And then Sammy came to him and said that he was sad about the whole thing and that it really hurt his feelings. And then Sammy got asked about it and he kind of said, "Oh, Booker wasn't supposed to tell you that, but yeah, it bummed me out. I thought I had the fans and they went blah, 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 blah." Ever since then, he has been untouchable. He's beaten Gunther. He's beaten Chad Gable more than once. He beat Bronson Reed. Now he beat Braun Breaker, who should be a force of nature at this point and just plowing through everyone. And then on Raw last night, they inserted Dragunov into their storyline. And you know they did that because they don't want Sammy to take the pin. You know that's why they did that. Because they want to put the title on Braun, but they're not going to make Sammy take the pin. What is going on?
Sammy. We must protect Sammy at all costs.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah,
my poor boo boo. I can't bear to see him frown. Dry your tears, my little mushkin.
And then, like, babushka, my
babushka.
I just can't bear to see him cry. I don't know. All he has to do is sniffle, and I'll put him over anyone except me. He's not beating me.
After the show, Triple H at the press conference, out of nowhere, was just like, "I think Sammy, he's not an underdog anymore. Now he's a real wrestler." What are they?
So he had to be Braun Breaker to overcome that status. Like it could have been anybody.
Not good.
Just like your son said, it could have been no one.
Well, he should be very proud and very happy because he did a great job and he's my special guy.
He's got
moves. We're going to take this IC title and we're going to put it right here, right on the refrigerator for everyone to see. Now we can see it every day. The good Lord, I couldn't, like, we were all watching this and we were all saying to ourselves, well, this is a foregone conclusion. Like at this point, it's just play acting. It's going to happen. You know, and he beat him. And a guy, look, I'm sorry. I know Sammy's an athlete, but a guy that looks like Sammy beating a guy that looks like Braun Breaker like that this early into his career, I don't know. Mm-hmm. If you think it might be too early for Braun Breaker to win a title like that, which I could hear an argument for that, then don't have this match.
Yeah,
yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You know what it is? As annoying as, right, because we're old school. Like, you could go back and watch. I always go back to this because I think he was the king of it. Lawler was a genius. Whenever he wanted to bring in, whether it was Godfather or Kamala or just whoever the just giant animal was going to be, right? Lawler had no problem jobbing to the guy the first night he brought him in. Just get absolutely massacred. Not even just he lost, he got massacred. To put this guy over. We had Braun essentially murder Ricochet, right? Like he's dead. Ricochet died. R.I.P. Ricochet. He massacred Dragunov. So it's a little jarring to see that Sammy survived. However, I can understand what Triple H was trying to do because he backed it during the press conference. Sammy is stuck as a character to the point that he's almost starting to become annoying, right? Like they realized they were in the danger zone.
Almost.
Because
I'm highly annoyed.
People were cheering Gable, after he dumped him on his head because he was kissing his wife. Like Sammy's in a weird spot. So now you have to do something with the character. We're sick and tired of Sammy pretending he's an underdog. Sammy can't be an underdog anymore. You either win or you don't. Sammy has essentially beaten everybody under the sun. This was just kind of a space to, get him to like a next level. With Braun, Braun has run rampant against everybody except for a seasoned member of the roster, right? Like this was Braun's introduction to swimming in the deepest water. He took Sammy to the very end. Braun, even though he lost, he still looked good. It's just everybody was upset because we were expecting a 4-minute squash.
I got worked.
It's just you're in a funky spot to be. I think Braun getting the IC title is a foregone conclusion. SummerSlam is still a long way off. You tend to not see big title changes like that until you hit SummerSlam, or you hit the wasteland zone between SummerSlam and Survivor Series, where we don't know what's going on if you're not going to be in the War Games match. I think everything was just kind of like storytelling, jockeying. It's just no one got the result they wanted because we're all kind of tired of Sammy.
Well, I think it's a deeper issue too, because I don't think Sammy should have ever had the Intercontinental title.
No, well, that's the problem. It should have been Gable.
Right.
Sammy took Gable's story. I think Gable probably wound up better for it in the end, because he's over as a heel. Like the dude is legitimately over. He just needs his moment. He just needs his moment. They're giving him lots of tiny ones to keep him afloat.
You know what? George Captain in the chat just pointed out what would have been the reaction to a squash on a 5-match card. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
No,
It's a 5-match card. You can't really have a 3-minute match.
Yeah, I agree with that too. It should have been a 5-match card then. Like that's my thing. Is that like there's deeper.
It shouldn't have been that match.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on Sami Zayn and the?
I don't know. I mean, I was going to ask you guys a question because you follow it so much closer than I do. But it feels like the company is almost trying to do a do-over. Like maybe Triple H or someone who's now in power who wasn't back then thinks that Zayn should have beat Roman up in Canada and is trying to overturn that somehow or make it up to him because he is a top hand and he is reliable performer for the WWE. And then the other thing I wanted to ask is like because I'm from the Attitude Era generation and I think like if I would love to see the Goldberg gimmick again just with someone who could carry a match and who's ready for it. And if you're not going to do the 150 or maybe the modern version is, I don't know, they got weekly TV shows, they got more PLEs and WCW had pay-per-views. Why couldn't they get to 130, 150, And if it's not going to be Bron Breakker, who is it going to be in this generation?
Now it can't be now. So
now it can't be now.
Well, but I'll give them this though. They are very good about making wins and losses matter when they want them to matter. You could just as easily have Braun go on a 100-match winning streak.
Yeah.
And be like, oh my God, who's going to stop it? Not caring that, he's lost on the main roster. It's just like we have to survive at this moment. I think with Sammy, I don't know if we've ever talked about it since we've been doing the show, but the way I look at Sammy is he has the potential to be the modern day Foley for the WWE. He's a very affable guy. People like him. It's very easy to get behind him. He's not going to be the guy who wins all the time, but when he wins, you're going to be super into it. And I think, because Vince, other than the Bloodline thing, Vince didn't ever really know what to do with Sammy, other than maybe take advantage of whatever little quirks it was that Vince saw in his personality. Because going back to his NXT days, Sammy always wins. Sammy's the guy who gets beat up, but he always winds up winning in the end. Now we're seeing it, but damn, it's been like such a long since Roman, right? Since he went the distance with Roman, Sammy's never really been in trouble, and all we hear about how he is this underdog. But I really feel like they're kind of prepping Sammy to kind of finally take that to grab that Foley status and be the everyman champ for everybody. He won't be the guy who holds it for 6 months, but he may be the guy who holds it for 3 months and then gets it again. And
that's actually interesting because I think a lot of us, in our point of view, we look at Sammy and I see a made man. I don't see Sammy as a guy that needs to be built. I see Sammy as a guy. He at any point Sammy could win a world title and I'd be like, okay, I get it. That makes sense. So to treat him,
I think he could win the world heavyweight. I think he could win the world heavyweight title. Like he can unseat Priest, and I'd be okay with it. I don't see him taking Cody down. Like I don't think he's on that level.
No, Cody, no.
I didn't mean that he would beat Cody. I just meant if they decided.
I never for a second thought that we were ever going to get to the point where he was going to beat Roman. I was not one of those people who ever, even for a singular second, thought that was going to happen.
Right.
There was no way. There was no way.
You're an old jaded wrestling fan. We're talking about the kids.
It's true.
The kids and the younger fans, when they were telling that story, the people really thought that Sammy could have been the guy. We know he's not going to do it, but Sammy has the ability to trigger believability with younger fans. And that's for them. That's what's most important. Like, yes, Sammy's a made guy, right? We know Sammy's a made guy because he gets lots of main event slots, but he's not made officially until he gets a big gold belt. I think what we're going to see is you're going to see that slow transition towards he's finally going to get in a position where he can get that belt. Again, Braun, like, yes, this match was long. but Braun beat the shit out of him. And Sammy won because he survived. Even the promo at the end, they had really Sammy put over the fact that he was pretty much physically broken and that he doesn't really know how he won the match. And that he never felt like he hasn't felt that way in a long time. He didn't even say that about Gunther, so
but to be fair, he walked out like nothing happened the next night on Raw and was, happy Sammy and everything was normal again. And
ironically, in his Mick Foley shirt.
Yeah, actually, yes, that is true. I mean, this is all leading to Sammy Uso, right? Like, I think
it's got to be, and you know what?
Yeah.
And I think once that happens, anyone's problem with Sammy will go away because once he's on Team Roman Bloodline, I think all will be right with the world again because he'll be back doing whatever one likes seeing him doing. Producer Neckbeard point out Brian Alvarez freaked out because Sammy didn't beat Roman in Montreal. I remember that. I was like, did you honestly, for the love of God, stickly think that this was going to happen?
He thought it was going to hurt business too. That's crazy.
It certainly didn't. Okay, before we move on to the next match, I do need to get to a couple super chats. Alt Jake for $2 says wrestling rabbis finished the Mazel Tov cocktail.
God.
That's amazing. MJG for $4.99. Thank you so much. Says thanks for offering fun content. It's a lost art in wrestling today. I put my money where my mouth is. So thank you very much. We appreciate having you here, MJG.
Apparently, his mouth's in your pocket.
What was that?
Well, he said he's going to put his money where his mouth is. Apparently, his mouth is now in your pocket. So
apparently, well, that wouldn't be the first. John JID 999 says the AEW apologist has a weird possessive rage. Yeah, that is 100% true. I could definitely see that being a thing. All right, so we've covered Sad Sammy. We covered this match. I guess the next one to cover would be the World Heavyweight Championship, Damian Priest versus Seth freaking Rollins. Okay, so we all knew that everything in this match was just a it was all just a it was all play acting until we got to the cash in, because that was what the actual story was going to be. But I thought they had a very good match. I liked this match a lot up until the botch at the end, where either they didn't hit the music in enough time or Priest didn't kick out. I don't know what happened. I think it was the music cue. I personally think the music cue was the thing that didn't hit, because it happened so quickly after. I questioned the logic of, at this point, Drew's cashing in. He should be on high alert for CM Punk, right? Like he's announced that he's going to cash in. He should have paid security accompanying him to ringside to surround the ring to make sure that CM Punk does not show up.
There will be preparation, yes.
And then CM Punk Punk comes out from under the ring or something like that. Like I love this Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner kind of feud that they've got going here. That Punk is always, meet, zip, bang. Like,
you're forgetting the most important part of why Drew keeps failing.
Mm-hmm.
Drew is living the definition of hubris.
Yes.
/ no entity on this earth exists at the level of petty of CM Punk.
Yeah.
This Punk character is like, it's a whole nother level. He is like the Dr. Doom of petty. Like we're 3 seconds away from seeing Punk go to Drew's grandmother's house and glue her mailbox shut. This to be a shit. Drew keeps getting in Drew's way, which is why Punk is so easily able to come in and just ruin his day.
Yeah, this is from Alyssa. I'm not going to take credit for it, but he was talking about how Drew's blind spot is the title. He is so obsessed with that title that Punk can just run circles around him because Punk knows it. Punk knows he's obsessed with the title. So he's toying with him like a cat with a ball right now because Drew is just obsessed with making that wrong right. And
I thought that after going through the episode where Drew got his revenge and, decimated Punk and left him laying in a bleeding puddle, I thought it was weird to now then go back to basically Punk painting the railroad tunnel on the side of the mountain and Drew running into it.
That's the point, though. Drew thought it was done because Drew thought it was done, and Drew didn't listen to what Punk said. I don't care where you go. I will make sure you never win another world title ever again. Which essentially Punk telling him, I don't care if you quit. I'll ruin your day in TNA. I'll go back to AEW, throw Jungle Twat in a front face lock and cost you your match. It's like Drew is not heeding the warning because he's got super singular focus. And honestly, at this point, now that we've expanded the story to include Rollins, I will say I think Rollins actually won the promo battle on Monday. I think Punk got a little lost, which is one of the only things I saw. I saw the promo, and then I saw Mommy come back, so I can't really participate when we talk about Raw.
Same here. I was working on my Acolyte review that came out right before.
You woke me up from the deepest sleep I've been in months. I was confused when the phone rang. So it's honestly, I would say although right now, I think the money is putting that title on Punk and watching these guys murder each other to get to him, and then finally finish Drew McIntyre's story by having him climb atop Mount Punk and plant his flag. That's the only way this story can end. Unless Punk beats all.
Well, you know what? I'm at the point now where I don't think that they need the world title for this feud at all. I think now it is just the bloodiest of blood feuds, and now the title I think almost dilutes it.
It's the Iron Sheik Sergeant Slaughter feud. I mean, you name honestly, them, any blood feud.
Like if we're stretching this feud out to Mania, my world heavyweight title match for Mania is not CM Punk Drew McIntyre. You know what it is? Gunther and John Cena.
Ooh.
John Cena challenging or defending?
John Cena is challenger.
Right.
I mean,
because we haven't really gotten into it yet. We'll get into it after we talk about this match, but the John Cena farewell tour can be done very, very well and very, very badly. And I think the IWC is going to take it very, very badly.
Either way?
Yes. Either way, It's going to be an absolute nightmare. He'll be getting the mixed cheer boos again by WrestleMania, I think, if he comes back in January the way he's saying.
I don't
know.
The second it could be a Grayson Waller level mid-carder. The second he pins somebody, they're all turning on him.
But the thing is
the same people that waved their disgusting little arms in the air while Sting ate the AEW roster and then pooped it out like soft serve ice cream are going to be livid if he so much as beats I don't know who's somebody really low on the tour. Grayson Waller.
The only thing is that I don't think it's that crowd anymore. I think there is a company for that crowd, and that company is called AEW. And all those
you really think those people aren't still in WWE crowds? If so, then
I don't think they are.
I think they are. I think they're 100% still there. They still watch.
But I think they're overpowered. They're overpowered.
Their sway is diminished. Also, listen, Cena's a different level, man. Cena, not to steal Michael Cole, but Cena is the Babe Ruth of wrestling. He is the greatest to have ever done it. He is the only one to leave on top, not be fired, not be told we got to wrap it up. The guy is still a major draw.
He never walked out.
Yeah, and he would still be a major draw if he chose to be. No one can touch this guy. He's done something that Austin, Hogan, no one has ever been able to do before him. I think people appreciate.
Yeah, and they got to tell that story. They got to say all that in between now and January. Like you said earlier, Marvin, you got to come down to your local ice rink because the big show's there. Or Andre the Giant's going to be in town. Every town Cena goes into, it's going to be It's Cena's last time in Birmingham, Alabama. It's Cena's last time in Toronto, Canada. It's Cena's last time. It's Cena's last Royal Rumble. It's Cena's last WrestleMania. You're gonna get this countdown like it's the last time.
And that's how they did Flair's retirement.
Yeah.
I've already had friends messaging me saying, okay, we need to go here because this is the last time we're going to be able to see Cena. I already had my kid tell me,
really,
we have to go to a pay-per-view next year because it's going to be the last time I can see Cena. That's the way people are thinking now, you know?
Well, and I think in every city that they go to, they should have a T-shirt that's like John Cena's last time in, in New York City, John Cena's last time in Boston. They should, and he said that they've already ironed out 30 to 40 dates for 2025 for him. And I mean, look, I have a feeling that Netflix is footing the bill for a lot of this because I have a feeling that part of Netflix's acquisition of Raw was you give us John Cena for a year. Has to be because he specifically mentioned Netflix. So I'm assuming he'll be Raw.
Oh yeah, not to mention he'll also be probably on the last Raw, and it'll be a great connector to the new Netflix show. You know what I mean? Like, so he's that great bridge for all that. And boy, do I disagree with you, Marv. He's not getting booed anywhere.
Yeah,
we'll see. I hope he doesn't. I want to be wrong on this one. I don't think I will be though. I can already hear the AEW people going ballistic about it. The same ones that cheered for Sting are going to lambast John Cena, even though John Cena is going to do business on the way out. I do want to see Cena win one world title that year. I want to see him get 17.
Yep.
I always said I never want to see John Cena beat Ric Flair, but we've had one pizza parlor meltdown too many, and now I'm saying, you know what? It's time for John Cena to beat Ric Flair's record. He's the only one that can. So let's make that happen, and let's give him number 17. Let's have him beat Gunther at WrestleMania. You give him that big one final WrestleMania moment, and then you give him a reign for most of the year until he's ready to pass it to whoever the next guy is.
Right. Think about it. Ric Flair's on the same wavelength with these new kids as we were with guys like Lou Thez and Buddy Rogers. Yeah. So it's now time to like flip this script and make it for a new generation for at least the next 30 years until, I don't know, Marko Stunt takes over. I don't know.
Look, here's the thing. At the end of the day, John Cena is not going to get the edge or the sting where he's going to go out with a major victory. John Cena is going to put somebody over on his way out. We are going to see John Cena on the mat in his last one with Baron Corbin standing over him, obviously.
Right.
We all know how it worked out for Kurt Angle.
I have a silly question, but I do want to ask it.
Okay.
Do you think the John Cena tour, retirement tour, will compel Sting at all to come back to the WWE?
God, I hope not. Sting is
like his own little send off.
He got his send off. He got his send off in Tooney Town.
That tree fell in the woods and nobody was there.
Well, of course, but you know what? He still got it. The guy can't do anything anymore. He was wearing a long sleeve T-shirt. Triple H is not letting him wrestle in a long sleeve T-shirt. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just you might want to come back for the deal. WWE is the place to end your career. I mean, there's no such thing as an AEW legend deal that's going to bring you a bunch of money every month forever. If I was Sting or Sting's manager, I'd be like, hey, maybe we call Paul up and we suggest this one. No, we do the Undertaker Sting thing, or we do something crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe Saudi Arabia would like to see, the match that always should have happened, and throw some money at Mark Calloway. I don't know. But if I was his manager, if I was his wife, I'd be saying, hey, Steve, I really need to end your career in WWE because those checks coming every month for merchandise, we could do with one of those every month.
Yeah, I could see like maybe not an official match, some kind of super one-off that reminds everybody that hey, Sting was here. Because you got to remember, too, part of what motivated Sting to turn himself into New Jack in AEW was Vince was the one who shut him down.
Yeah,
because he couldn't pass a physical.
Yeah, he
couldn't be medically cleared.
That's right.
Yeah, well, the WWE has actual doctors, and the AEW.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr.
Britt Baker. I'm 50% sure Britt Baker is gun that clears people in AEW.
Let me take a look at your mouth.
So who does Cena fight last?
It's probably Gunther. It's probably going to be Gunther.
Brock Lesnar.
No.
Okay.
I want him to go out on a win. It's a different thing. So you mentioned the Flair. So Flair, that was basically 100-day story with Flair retiring Shawn Michaels. That wasn't a full year where it was definitely retiring.
Right.
Remember, that was just everyone knew it was a retirement match, but it was a stipulation against Shawn Michaels.
Yes, but if we
didn't know for an absolute. Yeah, we knew because we're hardcore wrestling fans, but the general audience didn't know for a fact it was his last match. Now we've got a countdown clock.
He went in the Hall of Fame the night before. And by the way, I think that then do you think Cena goes in the Hall of Fame this year for his big final year, or do you think it'll be the year after?
I think it should be this year. I think you pile as much emotion and you pull at as many heartstrings as you possibly can. All this year. Put it all in this year.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Now, if John Cena is wrestling, he's doing 40 dates, it's clear that this is going to be a year. Netflix is apparently paying him enough where he is just not going to do any movies for that year. All right. If he's wrestling 40 weeks, if he's wrestling 40 weeks out of the year, I actually don't mind him as I would prefer to watch him in a movie over watching The Rock.
Oh, me too. I just went for a cheap pop.
I know you did. I think Cena's an infinitely better actor than The Rock. Can we please shave his head at the beginning of this year? Like, just give me the Lex Luthor John Cena look. I just don't want to look at that bald spot for a year. Like, it was the same thing with.
I've made that decision too, and it wasn't in the head versus head. It's like the decision was. I was like, fuck it, it's no big deal.
He's got to grow a beard.
Yeah. My dream scenario for Cena's last match, if he can get in ring shape, would be let's also right the wrong with Kurt Angle and let's wrap it up nicely. John Cena's first match was Kurt Angle, make his last match Kurt Angle, and that can also be Kurt's real retirement match. And
I've always wanted Kurt to get a real retirement match. I can't believe they stuck him with that idiot.
This would be perfect. Maybe have Kurt come back and like mentor Chad Gable for a little bit, and Chad and John can do something, and then at the end, Kurt swoops in and gets the match. I don't know. I
think Chad Gable is definitely going to be on Cena's to-do list. But now, do you put him with all young new guys, or do you do some dream matches in there? Like, you've
got to do both.
Do you see if you can maybe get Austin to finally do the match?
He could do it with enough smoke and mirrors, Marv. He could do it. They could pull it off. I mean,
he looked fine against Kevin Owens. He looked fine. I just wished he had worn his gear.
Probably.
I wish they told us in advance that it was definitely. I'll never understand that weird thing. I mean, what? I mean, I don't know about you. I sat there and I was like, "Holy shit! I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't know in my heart that it was definitely." It's like I'm about to watch a Stone Cold Steve Austin match for the first time in 2. I got chills. So. Maybe they were right and we were all wrong that the way they did it.
I think that there's a distinct possibility that there may have been some back and forth like up to the day where we're not sure what this is going to be. So we don't want to announce something that might not happen. There might have been something because you know how Austin is. Like we've all heard the stories of how Stone Cold was backstage with storylines and agreeing to do things and not to do things. We've all heard the rumors that he was supposed to have that Undertaker spot at WrestleMania this year and didn't want to do it. You never know, but I mean,
WWE's getting to the point now, though. They're getting to the point now where they can just throw money at these guys to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're retired, but are you really retired? Oh, you don't want to do it. Well, you still gonna do it for this amount of money, though, aren't you? They're getting to that point now where they're so successful, they're just raking in so much money.
A guy
they're limited by their imagination, and the booking. Everyone knows the booking is better than it's been in decades.
Yeah, and the mentality is different too. Triple H seems to be a little more willing to not cut you off at the knees because you turned 44. Like he's willing to let people who can still go. You know, so like listen, the fact that we got to see Ricky Steamboat at one more WrestleMania was a bloody miracle.
And he was so good.
You know, so it's like, you know, it was yes, fine. You know, he had that weird little aneurysm issue like a couple weeks later, but you know, like it's if a guy can stay in shape and can still go, it's now more likely you might get to see, you know, you I don't think you're ever going to get like the WWE's version of the saga of Terry Funk in ECW, but you can get one more moment, you know, for guys that you want to see it happen for.
Yeah, I actually love that it was Undertaker, not Stone Cold against The Rock, because I love the idea in the storyline that he's this ghostly presence, and if things get too out of hand, you know, he's going to swoop down like a supernatural Jack Tunney and set it right. I just love that idea, you know.
I do too.
With his weekend jeans and hoodie.
There would have been some poetic justice to it being Stone Cold just because it's Stone Cold and The Rock. You know?
Yeah, Stone Cold Rock. Yeah, of course.
I would have sent Hogan out there to give him the big punches. I mean, like you could have put Hogan out there, you could have put Austin out there, but I think Undertaker worked perfectly. I'm never going to complain about seeing the Undertaker. That's never going to happen.
No.
So, but yeah, I mean, look, with a John Cena. Like having John Cena for a full year and bidding goodbye, it's this big final run. I think that you can really make some magic TV out of this. You can make some incredible moments. I think he's got to win the world heavyweight title. I'm not saying put him over on Cody. You know, I'm not saying put him over on Roman. I'm saying put him over on, you know, you can put him over on Gunther and have him give it back, or, you know, just if Gunther had a title reign from SummerSlam to WrestleMania, that ain't bad. You know, I know we're in this era now where everyone thinks you got to hold it for at least a year, but you don't.
There's
it's got to be soon then, because if he wins it in like Survivor Series, everyone knows he's gone in 2 months. So yeah, I think maybe you do give it to him at Mania and you know, early April. Because then you know, well, is he going to lose it this time? Is he going to lose it this time? You know,
right?
I mean, we're also completely glossing over the obvious Cena versus Rock. You know,
I don't see.
Really
it.
think
I
The
don't
Rock
see
isn't going to want to? Dude, you really think
it.
The Rock isn't going to want to insert himself in this? I mean, come on. You didn't watch the Mania doc, so maybe you don't know.
I will defend The Rock a little bit on the Mania doc. I think people are letting their emotions get the best of them, because if we're gonna break it down logically, this only happened because The Rock chose for it to happen. The versus they could have done it the Vince way and just forced it down your throat. You're gonna take it and love it, and you know we've gotten, and you know. If Philadelphia turned on the building, it ain't the first time Philly turned on the WWE. And guess what? When you watch it later in a couple of months, all you're going to hear is cheers from the international crowd anyway. But if The Rock doesn't have the self-preservation to go, do I want to upset the weekly viewing fan, or do I want to figure out how to make the most money out of this? We don't get what we got. So I get it. We delayed the documentary so that he could cook up his narrative, but at the same time, he's not telling the truth.
I mean, do we want to talk about that right now, or are we going to save that for later?
We're not done with Money in the Bank yet. We still have 2 more matches.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to get too deep.
All right, you know what? Let's drop the Cena thing for right now. Let's go to. We didn't really talk about the Seth versus Priest, but that's okay. I don't think much more needs to be said. Everything was about the cash in anyway. The women's Money in the Bank match. Now everyone's raving about this. I didn't like it. I'm going to tell you why I didn't like it. I think this was a excellent music video match in that there were a lot of big moments and a lot of big devastating things that looked awesome, but everything in between the stuff that gets cut out in a music video was terrible. It was all very obvious cooperation, a lot of very visible "Are you all rights?" A lot of very, very visible. The most overt "Are you all right?" I've ever seen in my life happened in this match. Like literally, like you could see Zoe Starks' face where she was literally like, "Are you all right?" Like it was just so huge. My brain told me that Tiffany Stratton was winning this match. My heart wanted Chelsea Green. And Chelsea Green was the MVP of that match.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Guys,
absolutely.
So yeah, somebody jump in, tell me your thoughts. Dis, what do you got?
I think Zoe actually performed really well in the match. I mean, I know there were a couple things, but she's still young and green. I think that she took a couple good spots. She gave a couple good shots in there. I thought that she was up there with Chelsea as a standout for me. I think the right person won. Tiffy deserves it. And I don't know if it deserves it, but she needs it more than anyone else. And her stuff with Nia is fun. So I'm all for that. It was too much. The WWE women's division is becoming like their version of indie wrestling now. Like on Raw, they did the stupid like every person goes for a suplex at the same time spot again. So it seems like by them getting those gymnasts and doing that they're actually turning into what we like. They're turning into what we didn't want them to be. What we liked them. We liked them for not being this. And now
the only thing that I hate more than that indie suplex spot is the indie. Everybody lines up in the ring and takes turns doing a plancha spot.
Yeah,
I don't like visual cooperation. And yes, I know everybody knows that it's staged. I get it. But is it like I don't want to see the daylight in the punches when I see a movie, you know?
Yeah.
I want it to look like Captain America just punched that guy in the head. I don't want to see Chris Evans lean over to the Red Skull and go, "Hey man, you all right?" Like give him the like no, like if I'm looking at it as a television show or a movie, I don't want the illusion shattered for me.
Mm-hmm. And if you can't pull it off without breaking the illusion, don't do it.
Yeah.
You know who wasn't breaking the illusion?
Yeah.
Io Sky was not breaking the illusion. No. She was stiff as hell that night.
She came to bring honor back to the Empire.
She was out there making them earn it. But by the way, like, we'll get to that when we get to the 6-man. I'll talk about the stiffest shots of the night. But yeah, man.
Chelsea sort of won. There we go. That's the bottom line. Chelsea Green sort of won.
Chelsea was amazing. I love Chelsea. I think
she would be so fun with the Money in the Bank thing that she could accessorize it and fuck it up and turn it into some like Louis Vuitton. It would be so much fun. Chelsea.
I was saying before that the good thing about Chelsea would never even have to cash it in to make it mean something. She would just the idea of her coming out to ringside during every championship match,
every championship match, making it about herself. Yeah,
exactly.
Mm-hmm. And not cashing in. That'll be amazing. Yeah.
Well, guess who's got that line now? It's going to be Miss Tiffy. That's who they're going to give that sort of line to.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, look, the time, I think the best time to cash in logically in a storyline narrative sense is after Bayley beats Nia and is laying there as a broken mess. But I think they're going to let this one ride. I don't think they're going to do a quick cash in on this one. They're going to let this one simmer.
How funny would it have been, though, if Chelsea would have won, because then she gets to go back on Raw and then Pierce has to deal with her again. That would have been hilarious.
A few super chats real quick. Colin Taylor for $20. After the $50, $20 now. Wow. Colin Taylor, you will quickly becoming my new best friend. He says, I already came up with, sorry, Kev. He says, I already came up with the wrestling rabbi character. In WWE SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, I turned Razor Ramon into Rabbi Raymond, a.k.a. Scott Holla.
Oh, God.
And his finishing move was the Razor's Edge, but I called it the Moyle's Edge.
I just found out that there was a wrestling rabbi in the our brilliant chat from the 50s. It was a real rabbi who also wrestled, and he used the rabbi thing as his gimmick. Yeah. That's awesome. I love I don't think it was as creative as this is, though.
No.
MJF is a close second.
Scott, I'm sorry. Like, I saw a bunch of really good ones in the chat. Like I saw Beard say like Marcus Alexander Bagel. And I saw a bunch of really good ones. Scott Holla is the one. I'm sorry. That's the best one. You're not getting better than that. Oh my goodness, Colin, thank you so much.
Hey, are you manning the chat? Because last time I was on, people were saying I looked like Ryback but out of shape, which I thought took it a bit too far.
Someone also said you look like a male model, though. So
did they?
So we have to.
Tonight somebody said that. Beard and Dis are the ones who typically man the chat. So don't blame me if anyone
just ban them all at Ryback shit. Back when I was at TNA, everybody said I looked like Josh Alexander. And Scott D'Amore was like, we could do the Barry Windham we could do the Barry Windham Sting thing where you get beat up and you get pinned to get the belt off Josh. And I'm like, okay, I'll get the tattoos if he gets a dad bod. I mean, like, I can't look like Josh looks like. You know? I'll meet you halfway, Josh. You know, you get the fucking man boobs and the belly. And the
Don't worry,
fat.
anyone that compares you to Ryback will be gone unless it's Colin Taylor who is giving $70 tonight. He can call you whatever the heck he wants tonight. He can call my mother whatever he wants right now. BT23 for $2 says, hope at Bad Blood Punk Drew or Punk Seth Drew Hell in a Cell. I think you wait till SummerSlam.
Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, not time for a cell yet. We got to give them. We have to give them an actual real match first.
Yeah. Do they at this point though? Like I was saying that the other day, I'm like, they can go right to a gimmick match.
Yeah, they could.
Because
they could.
They've got more heat than any feud has ever had ever. Like,
I mean, how are they going to start the regular match with a lockup? I mean, of course, you gotta go.
That's a straight punch. Because
they need to have the Edge Matt Hardy punch each other in the face match. Remember that one?
Yeah.
The first Edge Matt Hardy match after the Lita thing where they just punched each other in the face for 3 minutes until Matt, like, I still don't know what happened. If that was the planned finish or if Matt just was like, Adam, you bastard, and had one of his many, many concussions.
Something happened in the turnbuckle. I don't remember what it was.
He was like mounted Edge on the turnbuckle and was like punching him on the turnbuckle, and Edge like pushed his legs or something, and Matt hit his head on the post.
Yeah,
and then they like called it.
Isn't Bad Blood replacing Hell in a Cell? The pay-per-view?
That would be weird. That'd be weird if they like put a Hell in a Cell on Bad Blood.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's replacing it.
Wasn't the first ever Hell in a Cell was Bad Blood? Yeah,
that's probably what they're going to do. Because also,
I was there. Yeah,
there are too many. It's like we don't. And I get it. Everybody's got to get their turn now, but do we really need 2 Hell in a Cell matches? Do we really need 2 Money in the Bank matches?
I know.
Do we need 2 Rumbles? Like,
War Games. Do we need 2 War Games matches? Like War Games used to happen. War Games used to happen because it needed to happen. Now it happens because, well, it's time for the War Games match.
November.
You know, they could use that. I mean, I don't know what else they got, but you know, like the Hell in the Cell was, you know, they went to Shawn Michaels like, yeah, you know, you guys, you and the Taker are going to be in a cage. It's like, we fucking done those things. Can't we do something else? And they're like, oh, you want us to raise it? Okay, we'll come up with this. Maybe this is if they got any other ideas floating around, maybe this is the one that's like, okay, it's worse than Hell in the Cell. You know, it's been a long time. What was the last like big gimmick they did? The Elimination Chamber was the last one.
Punjabi Prison, probably.
Punjabi Prison.
I mean, I'm talking good ones, not that.
Right.
You know?
The last good one was the Elimination Chamber. Yeah.
Like Castle of Fear match.
Yeah.
But like and I know, yes, WCW did Fall Brawl War Games where we always knew there was going to be a War Games. I'm talking about like when the War Games was originally conceived. It was like, okay, this feud is now like we have to have a War Games match because of this.
Yeah, I've got it. I've got the gimmick. I've got it. Okay.
Go for it.
that they approach their sister company, the UFC, and they say we need to put this in the octagon.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
I've always been waiting for them to do it. Like I thought, like they flirted with the idea before they had any association with UFC. Like when Shamrock was there and they would do the Lions Den.
Yeah.
The Lions Den was definitely them trying to do an octagon.
Yeah, they do an octagon. Obviously, they got to gimmick it up, make it do it so they can come off but do the octagon.
Here's the thing: you're gonna hate it, but AEW did it.
Did they really?
But no one gives
they did it with Jack Ryder.
Yeah, right.
Like America's Best.
Bro, I've got it. It's a reverse ladder match. The winner is the guy who carries the belt up the ladder and hangs it above the ring. It's a swerve, bro. That's a real thing that happened in TNA.
Yeah.
We need to do a whole segment on the show one day about just like
worst
ridiculous gimmick matches from TNA specifically. Because Russo had so many.
It's a reverse battle royal.
WCW, the end of WCW to the middle of TNA.
It's a reverse battle royal, bro. They start on the outside of the ring, and then they try to get in the ring, and everyone has to make sure they don't. And then when they get in the ring, then it becomes a regular battle royal.
Vinny Roo did fucking when Viagra was, because we're showing our age, you can say, well, I remember that, but they did when Viagra first came out, and they did a Viagra on the pole, and I'm thinking,
when Shane
who wants to fight like they're fighting like tooth and claw to get a Viagra pill? I mean, they must really need
because Billy Kidman bought up every bottle of Viagra on planet Earth, and there was only one left. And that was the one that Shane Douglas needed to have sex with Stacy Keibler. So he had to fight like mad to get it. Oh, it was Tori Wilson. Yeah.
It was
Tori.
Does anybody remember
the sex appeal?
Does anybody remember the Scott Steiner Asylum match?
Of course.
It was him versus
I don't
Rick.
remember this. What was this?
It was like a bird cage that came down. It was a cage that was circle, and it was small enough to fit inside of the ring. And it was Rick versus Scott. And then halfway through the match, Tank Abbott came out with bolt cutters to get through the cage, but they didn't cut it. So he told them to lift the cage, and they did. And they just lifted it up, and the cage was there for 2 minutes for no reason. They built the entire cage for 2 minutes. They couldn't even get the spot they wanted, and then they just pulled it back up in the air and let them fight in a regular ring.
Can we agree that the worst cage ever constructed in for any wrestling whatsoever was the Hogan Piper cage that was like 30 feet tall and made of chicken wire, and the Macho Man Randy Savage jumped off of it and somehow didn't break his legs?
By the power of...
Maybe fractured it for the WCW years later.
When you said
what we say again, by the power of what?
By the power of hating Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage did not blow out his knees, his Achilles. He jumped 30 effing feet in the air,
landed on his feet,
and just kept going. And we watched poor Edge do half that height, and now he's home.
When you said the Hogan cage, I thought you were going to talk about the TNA one when Hogan came in. And they had the X Division escape match where they had the cage and they had like a little hole in the top of the cage.
Yeah. Homicide. Poor Homicide.
Yeah, Homicide couldn't climb it. He couldn't get out. It was impossible.
No one could. No human being can.
That was the first night on Monday nights. That was their big night to go against Raw. In 2 minutes, and spent with Homicide dangling off the top of the cage, trying to pull himself through that hole.
That match should still be going on because nobody can get out of that cage. Poor Homicide, like torpedoed the poor guy's career.
Yeah.
Like I never remember him doing anything of note again after that. Oh, poor guy.
LAX was awesome.
I did love LAX.
Amazing. Love LAX.
All right, let me see where we're at with the super chats. Cody Duffy checking in for $2. Am I the only one here not looking forward to Cena? I told you. Awful.
Okay.
I told you.
Yeah, really. It's one guy.
All right, but every person, from now on, every person that says anything negative about this John Cena run, I am gonna repost on Twitter X, and I'm gonna tag you in it and be like, I told you, awful. I told you.
So Marv, you're out to start the butterfly effect, I see.
Yeah,
I got you.
You can do that. That's fine. Because
I remember when Awful Wrestling said that no one was going to have a problem with John Cena.
Well, I don't think Awful. To be fair,
yeah.
Awful? I'm going to defend Awful for a second.
Oh,
so this is a moment. I don't think Awful was talking about X. Because of course they're gonna shit on it because they do everything. They hate everything.
Yeah, X isn't real life.
Yeah.
So,
not real
life. I meant in the arenas.
In the arenas are gonna mark out.
Free Speech Travel and Wrestling with a $2 super sticker. Thank you so much. And then follows it up with I want to share with you guys that did you know that AEW Death Before Dishonor and AEW Collision for Texas both shows are $55 maximum. Low price instead of emphasizing quality. So we're just like, it's discount wrestling now at this point, apparently.
I paid like $220 a pop for the tickets to when they were in Vegas, double or nothing.
When you're doing 10 shows in a row, you got to do that though. Right? Yeah. Like you're doing 10 shows in one place, you got to
Yeah.
Like that. John JD 999 for $2 says Tony Town is the new name for AEW in my head. Now, yeah, it's where do you think I got Tooney Town from? It's the whole point. Let's see who else. I think we got a couple more. Yeah, we got one more. We got my thought: Punk v Drew, 1 SummerSlam, Bash in Berlin, and 3 blow off at Bad Blood. Yeah, I could see that. If Punk is, do we believe Punk is cleared to go? Like, did he say he's cleared to go on Raw?
He didn't say he's cleared, but after the pay-per-view, they asked him if he was, and every other time he's been honest. And this time he said, "I'm gonna leave that open. We're not gonna answer that question." He's cleared.
He's certainly moving like he's cleared.
Yeah. I think he can be physical, but I think they're throttling him.
That's what he implied. Yeah,
which is a good idea. You don't want to pull the Tony Khan and ask him to come back early and then he hurts himself again.
Right. And you don't want a repeat of what he went through back in 2014 or 2013, where he, railed against the medical system of the WWE at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's smart to shift it to Seth like they're doing, because
and you know that Tripp is like if he's like, I can come back, Tripp is like, oh no, not this time, brother boy.
Yeah, with them shifting it to Seth means that they can either put him in a 3-way where it doesn't work as hard, or they put him in against Seth, who's a softer worker than Drew is.
I mean, that's very true.
I want Seth out of it. I'm yet to forgive Seth for buckle bombing Sting into 5 years of coma where he woke up in AEW. I'm yet to forgive him for that.
I agree with you. I agree. Look, in 1 year we had 2 careers ended for a very long period of time because Seth Rollins was careless. We had Sting, and then we had Becky Lynch.
Oh, wow, that's true.
Yeah. And that's before we get to those outfits
because he wasn't safe. Becky Lynch lost a year of her career.
Is that when he asked her out after he injured her? Did he show up to the hospital with flower?
No, he didn't injure her. He got her pregnant.
Oh, why did I think he buckle bombed her?
They probably did.
Maybe that's what the kids call it these days. I don't know. We'll move on.
The skibbity buckle bomb.
Give her the old buckle bomb, eh?
Netflix and Chill is now doing the old buckle bomb. All right. Finally, we have a 6-man tag main event. Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens versus the Bloodline, which consisted of Solo Sikoa. Why am I blanking on Son of
Jacob
Haku's
Fatu?
Jacob Fatu, yes. Yeah. And Tama Tonga, yeah. And Tonga Loa on the outside because WWE understands who the lesser member of the Bloodline is. The one guy to blow a spot.
The general Adnan of the Bloodline.
Oh my God, I'm going to use that. The general Adnan of the Bloodline.
Just think about this. Nobody. They had 2 Money in the Bank matches. Okay, 2 Money in the Bank matches in this crazy 6-man tag, and the only person all night who appears to be physically injured is Tonga Loa. Who was on the outside of the ring.
I mean, his head bounced off the announce table like that. That was. I thought this match was fantastic. I thought this made Solo Sikoa a bona fide main eventer. My favorite part of the whole match was when Kevin Owens, because I think Kevin Owens is the guy that breaks you in now. when you're like rising up the card, like you got to go to Kevin Owens and you got to pay the toll, and Kevin Owens is going to knock you around. And man, oh man, at one point, I think I said in the Discord, I was like, well, somebody just stiffed Solo Sikoa one too many times because Solo started lighting him up.
Yeah.
But that
Jacob Fatu spot.
Yes, I said in the beginning, I was like, look, they are really putting Jacob Fatu over on commentary here. He better come in here and eat Randy Orton's face off. Like with how much, and I like that they played up the real life fact that they had to beg Canada to let him in because he's too dangerous to be in Canada.
Nice.
I know all about that.
Oh yeah, no way, no, we can't have him in here.
Do you think Jacob Fatu was selling a little too much?
No.
Was he given too much? Okay.
I don't think so. I
thought so. I just thought he was like, especially with Kevin Owens. Like, I know, I understand it's his first night out. He wants to, impress.
You also can't bury Kevin Owens, right away. Like, you can't make him invincible. The guy took the Randy Orton second rope DDT and pops back up, which I mean, that was an amazing spot. He pops back up. Randy turns around for that RKO. And he's on the ground and he looks up and the guy's standing there. Oh my God, what a cool moment that was.
Yeah, that's the spot people are going to remember. It doesn't matter how much he sold later in the match. That spot made him right there.
Yep.
You're right.
Yep. It was a moment. It was definitely a moment. Cody getting in there and Cody's proven that he can brawl with the best of them. Randy looks like he ate another Randy.
Yeah.
Like, but in a good way. Like after a really good workout. So it all turned to muscle. Because good Lord, is he
is that the way it works?
I don't know. Kevin Apollo, it's
all going to turn to muscle. I don't know. I've used that excuse myself, but
a little bit of growth, a little bit of tested,
Yeah, he was cultivating mass. He's cultivating mass like Mac on Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The Maniac loves you, boys.
So how do you think you guys think this match established him as the new leader of the Bloodline? Because the direct comparison with Roman Reigns is obviously they're inviting it, much less anticipating it. I don't know.
You have to.
I don't know how you go from a Superman punch. Yeah, but it is. So for me, like the thing, because I watch so much MMA. I've probably watched as much, if not more, MMA than pro wrestling now. I don't get that thumb shit. It looks stupid. It is stupid.
The Asiatic spike.
No, bullshit.
I love that because
try that in a real fight. Nonsense. I'd rather have 20 of them than Roman Reigns running at me and leaping in the air, like blacking out the sun and punching me. No, give him a different. Stupid. It's so dumb. I'm taking a great big turd on it. It's horrible. Stop it.
I like it.
I mean, look, I like that he pinned Cody.
Yeah,
I think that gives us a SummerSlam main event.
I think they're doing good with Solo. I see a lot of people complaining about him and saying like, "Oh, he's not Roman." That's the story. The story is
that's 100% the story is that he's not Roman Reigns.
The beautiful, and we talked about this, back when right after WrestleMania, where it was kind of obvious where it was going to go, right? Like Solo is the future, but now it's like if Sonny didn't die and Sonny took over the family, not Michael. Instead of being a well-trained dog, now you have a rabid dog who's doing whatever the hell it is he wants, and you're breaking all the rules. So, like now you're begging for this bastard in the form of Roman to come back to fix everything.
You even look at like the way like Solo dresses; it's so different from Roman's presentation. No matter what Roman would be wearing a head of the table t-shirt, or he'd be wearing no shirt and he'd have like the sweats on. Solo is always in that suit with those gloves whenever he's not in gear. And I love that. He looks like a hitman.
Yeah.
And
Solo,
I really like that.
That's it. It's you gave the hired gun you gave the hired gun permission to run everything. And the hired gun is not supposed to be the one calling the shots.
Right.
It's like the end of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie where I am Goldar, the ruler of the universe. Yes, by the way, folks, the Triple H voice is Goldar from Power
Bro,
Rangers.
Kayfabe, man. Kayfabe.
Yeah, I know. We're breaking this. We're breaking the 20-year secret.
We're keeping this under wraps for like 22 years.
I know. I'm breaking the secret. It is the Goldar voice. You again, Green Weakling.
I like Solo Sikoa until the bell rings, and then it's a different story.
You don't think he's good in the ring? I think
he's okay in the ring, but he's not in what's the word? He's not. It's not a magnetic thing. Like, you don't have to see a Solo Sikoa match. You're waiting for the finish at that point. You're
not waiting for that thumb. No one's waiting for that thumb.
Good point, my man. Good point. But
maybe that's it. Maybe I was focusing on the finisher. I think you're right. I like to hear more of this.
He's just not engaging enough for me as a professional wrestler yet. He still kind of has that NXT vibe to me. And that's
Do you think it would be better if he finished with the Umaga, the running butt in the corner? Because I could see that being a good finish, like that killing a guy.
It's because Umaga was so over the top a character that when he hit the spike, your brain can go, oh, this is just a goofy wrestling thing. When it's like a wrestling character doing a wrestling thing, you're just a little more apt to want to do it.
And it's a different era now.
Yeah, that's it. And like Solo is kind of more like just a tough dude. Like you look and you see him at a bar, but again, like I said, you're never going to see someone take their thumb and go to jam it. Go to jam it into a carotid artery during a fight.
Kev, going to what you were saying, Kev, earlier about him being the hitman taking over. I always saw Solo as being the sore thumb. I always saw Solo as being like, he's the old school Samoan who's brought into this, and he doesn't really know how to. And now, so what we see when he's dressing is this is what he thinks a leader is supposed to dress like. This is what he thinks a leader is supposed to look like. And he's doing this, but it's not him. And that's why he surrounds himself with the Tongans and with Jacob Fatu, is because those are the ones that he relates to. It's not this whole other bloodline thing that he was involved in. He's a wild, crazy Umaga type guy who was forced into this situation. And now that he's in charge, he's taking it back that way. The problem is that they aren't really portraying his character that way. He should be more of a madman in the ring right now than he is. When Roman left, he should have been more dangerous, but he became more dangerous in his delivery, and he became more dangerous in his character, but not in his wrestling.
I would have liked to have seen him kind of do the Batista thing, like when Batista first turned babyface, where he would wear the suit and he would like all of a sudden like explode in rage and like flip a car and then like stop and fix his tie. I
guess maybe a better way to do it is, instead of saying Sonny, it's like if we didn't destroy Christopher's character in The Sopranos, right? Yeah. Let's just say Chris had a normal character arc and something happens to Tony, and all of a sudden Christopher's in charge. And we know Christopher's being groomed, but he's not ready for the seat. He's got all the information, he's got all the knowledge, but he hasn't been field tested. So now everything he's doing is very raw, it's very impulsive, it's a little more destructive than it needs to be, it's drawing way more attention than it should, and at some point in time he's going to wind up in over his head. I think this is what you're getting with Solo. Even the fact that they were willing to execute Heyman, that they got rid of their wise man because Paul was loyal to Roman and not to Solo. He's it's essentially you have a pack of wild dogs that think that they're a normal, fully functioning pack. And they just like really like, what is Solo's beef with Cody other than he beat Roman and he's champ? Solo's beef with Cody is that Roman had a beef with Cody and Solo doesn't, and that's the only thing Solo knows is, well, we need to take this belt off of Cody. And we beat up Kevin Owens for the last year, so we're going to keep doing that too. So again, it's interesting. It's interesting, and yes, I think you are supposed to kind of be like, when you look at Solo, he still has that NXT, I don't want to say stink on him, but it's supposed to be obvious to you that Solo is too raw and too inexperienced for the seat he put himself in.
Yeah. I think the commentators are doing a good job of selling that. I think they basically out and out said, like, this is, this isn't a seasoned guy like Roman Reigns at the head of the table anymore. This is, a more evil version, more desperate,
I guess you got to keep sticking them in with tag teams and things like that just to cover that up. But I'll tell you what,
it's more sinister. It's sinister. Sorry, Awful. I wanted to get that. I wanted to get that in there. Go ahead.
No. You're exactly right. But here's the thing. Our man Jacob Fatu is more interesting than Solo at this point. In my view, I want to see him perform. I want to see him wrestle. With Solo, I saw him wrestle for quite a few months with guys like Kevin Owens, get jobbed out and things like that. So in that sense, his aura is not quite there. Where
he ate John Cena. He ate John Cena for breakfast. That was a big
deal. True.
Yeah, so they did a good job of protecting him, right? Like Solo was the, something goes bad and Roman goes, Solo, someone's about to get their ass destroyed. But hey, guess what? Solo, now that Solo wants to be Roman, well, you need someone more Solo than Solo. So you go get Jacob Fatu. And again, I think it's all obvious, right? We all know the WWE has really big plans for Jacob Fatu. He has one of the most intricate entrances anybody's gotten in a really long time.
Yeah.
He's got all the pyro.
Well, and not only the guy's first match was a PLE main event.
Right.
So
and he looked nervous out there. He was great, but he did look there. It was kind of, it was cool to see, I guess.
Side note, I would love it if they gave Kevin Owens the thing now where like he could punch through concrete because he's been hardening his knuckles on Samoan heads for the last 5 years.
There you go. That's a great little through line there.
Oh man, but my favorite Bloodline moment of all time, and I think this kind of illustrates the difference between Roman and Solo. Remember when Sammy was there and he was arguing with Jay, and Sammy's like, look, the tribal chief says, and Jay goes, man, I don't give a damn what the tribal chief says. And Roman just looked up.
Yeah.
And the entire crowd backed up. That's something you don't get from Solo. But with Solo, you get a much more sinister, you've handed the leadership position to the Tasmanian devil.
Right.
And I like that. I like the chaos. Roman was order and Solo Sikoa is chaos. And that is a very different animal to deal with. I think they're telling a decent story with it. But I do want to move on. Let me get 2 super chats real quick. George Captain for $5. Thank you so much. Says my thought. Punk v Drew. We did this one already, didn't we?
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Yep. Colin Taylor for $5 says WWE used to have the Road Dog. Now with Seth Rollins, they have the Raw Dog. I love you guys. B223 for $5 says wonder when and if Solo going to have Guerrillas of Destiny go after the tag titles like Roman did with the Usos. Look, after you do the War Games match that we all know is coming at Survivor Series, you have to then break this off into singles matches. And I think the feud that you gotta go for here is Guerrillas of Destiny versus the Usos.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I think that needs the tag titles. 100%. That could main event a night of WrestleMania. That would be that big, I think. And it's the only way the Usos, I think, are getting anywhere near a main event right now. Or I hope. Okay, guys, we have to give the people what they want. They are all right now in the chat requesting a visit to the doctor. And we have to get to our Dave Schultz promo of the week. And this week's promo was chosen by our good friend AEW Disciplinary Committee, aka DIS. And we are going to be examining our first Dr. D babyface promo. If I'm
yes.
Which this is deep in his feud with the Honky Tonk Man. Right. So I have not watched this yet. I took your advice on it.
Right. I didn't watch it.
You said it was good. You said it was good. I wanted to go in blind. So give us a little intro to this, if you would.
Okay. It is not your typical Dr. D promo. And some of the material we normally do may not apply to this, but there is plenty of hidden material in here, and the ending is beautiful. Because he totally forgets that he's a baby face at the end. So,
I mean, I would think that every time he's a baby face, he forgets that he's a baby face. All right, here we go.
Dr. D, Dr. D, what brings you?
Let's just look at the ensemble here, by the way. First of all, are these sweats or these sweats, right?
That's his. Okay, have you ever seen his shirt? Is Doctor Who? His shirt says Doctor Who on it.
Oh,
and I think that might be.
Oh my God, Kev! Could you imagine? Could you imagine like shoot?
I ain't got time for no dang dong dialects.
You can still buy it from the Dr. D store on Pro Wrestling Tees for like $20.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine Shooty Gatwa regenerates and he turns into Dr. Dave Schultz? Cyberman, I slap you around like you a cyber woman.
I came looking for a doctor, and all I found. Well, never mind.
This might not be the one. This might not be that shirt, but he does sell a red tank top that says Doctor Who on it, and he wore it since like 1982. So,
wow.
It's bigger on the inside. Of course it is. Shut the hell up. Sit back, and we're going on a trip to meet George Washington and slap him in his face. Oh my God. I'm just trying to think of like Al on Z. What the hell is an Al on Z? I speak American.
Dr.
If
D,
they ever brought it to America, that's
where'd you come from?
Yeah, that's would have worked better than the made-for-TV movie. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
we did, and then the doctor got killed in a drive-by.
When the seventh Doctor steps out of the TARDIS and is like, "Hello, America," I just immediately get shot.
Dies in gangbangers. America.
What brings you to Vancouver? Where'd you come from? Let me tell you something, Ed. I'm standing back here, baby. I took it on myself last Monday night. I rented the building down here, P&E Gardens. The honky-tonk man has turned on me. The honky-tonk man was my partner, baby. I trusted him. I trusted you, boy. You turned your back on me. You beat me like a dog. And then you come out and you take your fist up and you kept beating me. And I've been trying to get a cage match with you, boy. I've been begging for a cage match, and ain't nobody wants.
He always wants the cage. It's always, I want this fight, and no one will give it to me
because they're afraid.
For good reason.
Give me one. Now, yeah, let me tell you something, baby.
Here he goes.
We're bringing it in close now. Like we went from like the boisterous, and then like we pull it in close.
He puts his arm on the interviewer's shoulder.
Give me one. Now, yeah, let me tell you something, baby. I come over here. I contacted All-Star.
I like that he called the interview a baby.
Yeah, that's how you know he's a baby face.
Come here, baby. He ain't calling Mean Gene baby. I'll tell you that much.
No.
Contacted All-Star Wrestling. They said he had an open contract. He said it's wide open. Any kind of match you want. If you got the money, I got the time. Well, baby, I got the money. I put it down. It's me and you. Sunday night, the honky tonk man and myself are going to be caged in.
He walks away. He walks away from the mic.
Just completely forgets that he's talking into the microphone. That is, talking to the hundreds instead of the millions, as they used to say.
And what is it with Dr. D and money? Why is he
paying his own way? Why is he paying the honky tonks wages and to rent the arena like that?
It's almost like when he got trained, like his trainer was like, "Oh, and by the way, every time you wrestle a match, you have to pay to do the fight." And then like the whole business was just in on it and continued working him for years.
Sunday night, I took it out of my pocket.
That's some gentleman Chris Adams shit right there.
I want to see if I can work with him. Sunday night, I took it out of my pocket. I got money. You know what I mean? When you use a credit card, you charge something, you pay. You pay your debt so they come and look for you. Now, that's what I've been doing.
What?
So he is paying for the match.
He's giving economics lessons.
Yeah.
You bet. There, your credit score will be in the toilet. If you want to purchase a respectable home, you must at least have a 680.
Oh God.
You know, you could get one free report per year. It's for free. Talk to your financial analyst.
And do it. I've been looking for you. I heard he was hurt. I heard you laid up in the hospital. I heard you couldn't never wrestle again. I come over here a couple of weeks ago, the Agrodome. What was it? Honky Tonk. But Sunday night, baby, me and you. I'm going to settle a debt. I'm going to pay you, boy. I'm going to pay you just like I used a credit card. You got to pay your debt. You're going to pay me, boy. I owe you.
What? Now he's got to pay him?
I'm so confused about this transaction.
I've lost the narrative completely here. I'm
banking with Dr. D.
This is the acolyte at this point where I'm just kind of like, I don't know where this is going anymore.
You want to refinance your home?
It's called a reverse mortgage, and no, it is not a scam.
I'm here with Tom Selleck. We're not trying to steal your grandmother's house, but it works, people.
Dr. Of course, if they don't pay it, we will be taking possession of your grandmama's house.
I know a man named Conrad, and he.
No, he's not working with him. That's not happening.
I'm going to settle a debt. I'm going to pay you, boy. I'm going to pay you just like I used a credit card. You got to pay your debt. You're going to pay me, boy. I owe you.
I'm just saying it's a struggling metaphor at this point.
Yes.
He's leaned into it. We're going to ride that donkey till that donkey can't walk no more. Good for him.
Yep. It's like, look, the exchange rate of gold in the United States right now. What does your Roth IRA look like, honky tonk man? Let me tell you what mine looks like.
And you're going to face me because if you don't, All-Star Wrestling told me, Ed, that if he don't show up, he'll never, ever wrestle again professionally in his life, baby. Never, ever. You heard it. Honky tonk man. I'll be there with bells on, and I'm going to beat you every time I see you. You're not getting in a wrestling ring around me because I'm going to be there. I'm going to be like a bad case of gambler, baby, in that black hair. When you reach back, I'm going to be here.
Wait, that's what you go to? You're not a flesh-eating virus. You're not a wound that won't close. You're dandruff? That's your big threat, Dave? I don't babyface Dave Schultz is losing me here.
Yeah, you can beat Honky Tonk Man with Pert Plus.
I'm telling you, man. Like you and Jimmy Johnson with your Denorex. He won't be scratching his head in Miami, but you'll be scratching yours in Vancouver.
And I'm gonna be great. I didn't come to wrestle him. baby. I come to fight him. I came to baby in that black hair. When you reach back, I'm going to be here. And
it's going to be very embarrassing when you take photographs and people point out all them Dr. D flakes that you got on your shoulders.
You're going to have to spend $2 more if you want the shampoo that will get rid of me.
Listen, it's going to get so bad, you're going to have to go to your dermatologist. But your dermatologist is Dr. D Dave Schultz, and I'm just going to smack you in the face, boy.
I'm watching on my phone, guys. Sorry, I'm watching on my phone, and I was like, your impressions were so good. I had to go like that to see if it was you guys or it was the real promo.
When you reach back, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be great. I didn't come to wrestle him. Baby. I come to fight him. I come to fight you, honky tonk. You're bragging you want to fight. Well, baby, you got to fight. You got one hell of a fight. And don't forget it. Let me tell you something, Ed. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I'm sorry I had to interfere like this. Every time I see you, honky tonk.
Oh my God! Look at babyface Dr. D now apologizing for interfering in a match.
I'm apologizing for violating your personal space.
Good Lord.
Let me tell you something, Ed. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I'm sorry I had to interfere like this. But it's one of them things. Every time I see you, honky tonk.
Feel free, Ed, to tap my leg anytime you want when you need me to start wrapping this up, because you are a good man and I appreciate your dedication to your work.
I'm going to interfere. So you, every time you go down the street, you look back. You look back, baby, because the doctor might be there. When you get in your car, you look around. When you open that kitty cat to get in, you look around. Because the doctor might be in the back seat and wrap these mamas around your head and choke you to death.
Wait, Cadillac.
Cadillac.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cadillac. The kitty cat.
When you see that group of teenagers walking down the street, you got the urge to cross it. You better know it's the doctor, not teens, not preteens, but it's the doctor.
I'm going to be having the barbecue next to your house that you're going to try to call the cops on.
You coming to the cookout because the doctor's there. I'm playing my music really loud all night long. I don't care if you got to go to work.
I've come to lower the property value.
If anybody was wondering what bush we were beating around, Awful just burned it down. So he's going to wait in the car. Look, I understand what you got going. You got Peggy Sue beside you and the Colonel in the back. The Colonel, he's already dead. You think I won't hit Peggy Sue? I got another thing coming to you, boy.
You got to get in. You look around. Because the doctor might be in the back seat and wrap these mamas around your head and choke you to death. But enjoy yourself until Sunday night. It's been a pleasure.
I'm going to murder you. By the way, thank you, Mr. Announcer Man. It's been a pleasure working with you. I'm going to squeeze a man's windpipe until he stops breathing. Thank you very much for having me here tonight. It's an absolute pleasure to be here in your presence.
Jesus be with you, my brother. It was such a good night.
He goes from I'm going to be the dandruff in your hair to I'm going to stalk you by hiding in your car and choke the life out of you.
I'm going to choke you until you are no longer alive. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure working with you all. Be sure to tip your waitress. And by the way, take care of your mama. For God's sake, people. She raised you. She raised you to be better than that.
Don't forget to spay and neuter your animals.
Enjoy yourself until Sunday.
Control the pet population.
Good night. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Let me tell you, you're a mighty fine man. You're a mighty fine man.
Oh, that's a great setup for a clothesline.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. D.
He made his. Thank you very much. I needed that today. Wow.
I just ran out of cigarettes. Thank God he showed up and gave me a polite response.
Dear diary, today was a pretty good day.
Remember that he hates this hockey talk man so much that he's actually gone out and rented the arena out of his own pocket. I can't believe.
Okay, he rented
so
the
he
arena.
did rent the
match.
Okay.
All right. So now, this is what a good announcer does. He tells you the story.
Exactly.
So, oh my goodness.
Who's got a better?
Confused about what the hell he was talking about.
Wrapped it up.
I want to see that match.
Say, when this one started, I was like, "Oh, Dis, what have you done?" That definitely worked itself out very well.
They landed the plane in the end. They landed the plane in the end.
No, my faith.
Who's got a better head of hair? Him, Dr. D, or Sid Vicious?
Oh. Well, I'm going to say Dr. D because I'm pretty sure I can outrun Sid Vicious.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk a little shit.
Not during softball season, you can't.
Right.
If you want to go over, you got to go under.
When I was looking for this promo, I found a promo and I was torn on it because it's not the best Dr. D promo, but he gets to interact with Don Owens for 3 minutes.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
So watching him go back and forth with Don Owens, It might be the greatest piece of television I've ever seen in my life. So maybe we'll have to do that in the future.
I just want to like take a look at like Earth 3, where either he didn't, and not that he didn't slap John Stossel, because I'm pretty sure that's a constant in the multiverse that he slapped the face out of John Stossel's mouth. But I want like that. I want that Earth where like Vince didn't care and just kept him on, and he main evented WrestleMania with Piper against Hogan. I mean, come on. Man. But then we wouldn't have Bounty Hunter Dave Schultz, which I still gloriously need to get to. We have to get to there's one that like I've been like saving for a rainy day, where he's on the Morton Downey Jr. show. Yeah. And I don't even like, I might have to like download it and like edit it, because
it's
like,
on YouTube.
I know that, but like I think we'd get demonetized for it.
Oh yeah,
because
this was the 80s.
I mean, no, because they have the guy. I don't remember the guy's name. The guy who like might have been the guy who did the thing with Stossel, where like he was like exposing the business, and Schultz just sits there and calls him gay for 20 minutes.
Oh, I remember watching that.
Fond memories. Fond memories.
More Downey Jr. was like one of those shows I was not allowed to watch.
Well, for good reason.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Downey, give me that smoke.
So, okay.
What a good sport he was, by the way, for that WrestleMania appearance with Piper.
Oh, absolutely.
Eddie Mansfield. Yeah, I think it was Eddie Mansfield. Ernest Cruz just said it in the chat. Thank you very much.
Can you clear something up for me? I always was under the assumption that Dr. D...
You probably need a topical cream for that.
I was always under the assumption that Vince was okay with him slapping John Stossel. It was his actions once, like he fired him because he had to. It was like something he had to do after something like that happens. But it was always like, wink, wink, you can come back. But then what he did when he left is what pissed Vince off. Does anybody know that story? Or is
I'd heard that version of the story, but then I've also heard like the version they tell on Doc's Side of the Ring is completely different.
Okay.
It was that Vince all of a sudden wanted nothing to do with him. There was a situation with Mr. T. I know, like when he was bringing in Mr. T for WrestleMania, like there was a big worry that Schultz was gonna like kill him, like literally.
Got it.
So
Piper loves Dr. D. Like if you ever see, there's a Piper Pit segment with Dr. D, and it's not a good segment. It lasts like a minute, but the whole time Dr. D mentions AWA, and when he does, Piper looks so happy. Like he's worse than I am. Like he's
I loves you, boy. Oh, I loves you. I'm shocked he didn't call him from beyond the grave. Well, maybe he did, and he just didn't blab about it like Hogan did.
Yeah, really.
Hi there, Hogan. It's the Hot Rod calling from heaven, a place you're never gonna see, you son of a bitch. Because when you die, I'm gonna make sure you go straight to hell.
Piper, that asshole, calls me every week. I talk to him 3 times a day. Hogan, I don't know what Hogan's talking about. Getting that one cold phone call from heaven. I get it all the time.
I have to change my caller ID to send him directly to voicemail some days. The Hot Rod is blowing up my phone from the great beyond. Oh, good Lord.
All right.
All right. So, trying to think if we've got anything else, if we've got time for anything else, because I've still got to watch the Acolyte and then make an appearance on the pro show for the Acolyte after party. So I think we might have to end it here, guys. We might have to close with the doctor. Trying to look at our list of topics, see if there's anything else that's super pressing this week. You want to talk about that WrestleMania documentary real quick, like 10 minutes? You think we can wrap that up in 10 minminutes?
I mean, Kev already said his piece. I think, and I'd like to ask Kev, I think this was a make good to The Rock.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's all this seemed like. This was like Triple H had his sights set on doing Cody. That's what he wanted to do. And part of the deal of making Rock okay with that was saying, okay, but we'll give you this documentary, because like, I don't buy the whole thing where Cody went into business for himself and pointed at Roman, and they kind of made it out to be like that in the doc. I don't buy it. That to me, that seems, if anything, I could see it that being a thing Triple H told him to do that maybe Rock didn't approve.
Yeah, because we know what's up. We know that Triple H had his plan, and we know that TKO had their plan. And this was the unique thing about this, that this is the first WrestleMania where there was no McMahon bulwark. This was the new bosses are like, this is what we're gonna do. And it took the fandom to kind of push back and go, now you guys are getting this wrong, But you gotta remember, this was supposed to come out almost a week or two after WrestleMania. So they held on to this for months so that they could recut it. So there's no doubt in my mind that this was hey, we need to make good. Like we got to make good for The Rock, and kind of make sure he walks out of here with with a nice little shiny luster on his coat. Because he turned himself into an a-hole, to get this thing over. and we all know that that The Rock cannot exist in a space where people consider him the a-hole.
Yeah. I will say it did give me more respect for Triple H. There was a time when I really did not like Triple H, but
I don't like you either with your acorn head and your stupid Mexican mask. Up yours, Dis.
Sorry. But yeah, there was a time where I really didn't like him, but he seemed like not so much how he's portrayed in the documentary, but the fact that he let it happen. This is something Vince would never have done. No. Vince would never let a guy come in and make it look like this was all his idea. And that documentary did make it look like this was all The Rock's idea. It looks like Triple H just kind of said, okay, you know what? This is business, is what I got to do. But as long as we get
just let him do whatever the hell he wants, as long as he shuts the hell up.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like, right? Like, the Rocky comes out and does his thing, and the Triple H and Rock are standing in the back, and he goes, "You hear that, brother? They're not really happy about it, are they?" And it just drops that little worm into his ear, drops a little con worm into his ear, and lets him go home and think about how it ain't going to go the way you want, so that Triple H can get what he wants at the end of the day. Because, wrestlers, especially when you're a big famous wrestler, have big egos. And, when you've showed up to, what's the name of the monster, Fraggle Rock? When you're the big garbage monster, you want all the Fraggles to kiss your ass.
When you're Marjorie Trash Heap.
Yep.
One of the gourds.
Yep. And they turn and you're like, oh, hold up. I'm here for the next couple of weeks, so you can tell me how much you love me. Black Adam bomb. I need this right now.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't getting it. Again, I would love to see what happens in like another 10 years when we get the truth, when we get the documentaries really that's willing to tell the truth. Because this was this
is canon, Kev. This is canon.
Seriously, we're living. I want to see the version of the Bret Hart DVD that came out when it was supposed to be Screwed, the Bret Hart story. That's the one I want. Give me that DVD.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people complaining online saying they gave too much away, but I'm watching this whole time and I'm watching the whole thing and thinking this is totally story. This is absolutely the story they want to tell. They're still controlling the narrative. Yeah. They didn't give anything away with this. The only thing
every time The Rock opened, sorry.
The only thing they gave away was they gave Brian Gewirtz a face. That's it basically. Besides,
they have to, because he's going to be the new wise man.
Bischoff, by the way, would be awesome as the wise man.
It would be great, but Eric's got too good of a thing going. Eric and Cornette, the thing is with both of them, if either of them ever went back for like a permanent role, like on TV, even a semi-permanent role, it would be counterproductive to the brands that they've already established for themselves, that I think are going to ultimately be more profitable in the future than if they were to work for, let's say, the WWE, and less stressful because less travel. We all know Cornette's not getting on a death tube.
Bischoff's way more likely than Cornette, though, because Bischoff does like to be on TV.
More likely, yes, but I think Eric's got a very Eric's got a very good thing going for himself right now.
Yeah, Eric's got a lot of things going on. But I don't know. I mean, I think somebody in one of our chats recently said, with the interest in with the documentary, would you be interested in doing something? He goes, if it made a lot of sense, and it wasn't, he doesn't, he likes getting out the house, but he also he likes traveling and visiting and doesn't like being on the road. And there's a big difference between the two.
Yeah.
He's I asked him even privately, and I'm not breaking any secrets here, but he wouldn't do a full, tour, be part of the show every week, this town, that night. I don't think he's interested in that, and he doesn't need to. But something cool, something he thinks is fun. I mean, I know anyone watches the channel regularly knows he's got a ton of respect, for the regime as it is right now. He just, he's saying what everybody's saying is like the WWE is hotter than it's been in terms of storyline and hell, in terms of business too, than it's been in decades. Yeah. So I think he would be open to being part of that. I don't know. Anybody realistically wouldn't.
And the connection, by the way,
Tim Daniel just said it in the chat. He says Eric doesn't make sense. He's got no connection to the Samoans. I think the only reason you would do that would be because you'd have the head of ECW and the head of WCW on the opposing ends.
And also, you had 3-minute warning.
Unforgettable team.
It was a big part. It was a big part of Eric's gimmick at that time.
3-minute warning was for what it was. 3-minute warning was a very big part of the show.
And there
to this day, whenever anyone says 3 minutes about anything, I look behind me. I mean, I know they're both dead, but like I look behind me to just make sure the two big Samoan guys aren't about to jump out of nowhere and beat me up.
Oh God, you're over 35. That's why.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're the same guy who said that a hot lesbian action happened only a couple years ago. That was like 24 years ago, brother.
Yeah. Did I say that or did Awful say that?
No, that was you.
Don't say stupid shit like that.
When I say it happened 20 years ago, I mean 1970s.
All right.
Oh, where does time go? Oh man, right now I feel like I'm just vamping to try to stop myself from having to watch the penultimate episode of The Acolyte. Which, by the way, folks, if you want to check out my episode 6 review, it is currently up on Tooneytown TV. Last I checked, we had about 19 subscribers on Tooneytown TV to go before we hit 2,000. We've got about 600 to go on this channel before we hit 5,000. And when we hit 5,000 on this channel, you know what's going to happen. I will be streaming AEW Fight Forever live for all of you guys. I will be sacrificing my sanity for the sake of you all. So let's get it up to 5,000. All right, gentlemen. Ant, anything you want to plug on the way out, or tell people where they can find you?
Not really. Just I manage half the MMA YouTube channels and a good few of the wrestling ones. You'll be seeing me if you don't see my face. You'll be seeing me.
Yeah. All right. Well, Kevin Apollo, what do you got coming up?
Yeah, let's see. This weekend we got the All-American Banger at the Crystal Run at Galleria in Middletown, New York. So, tickets are available now. Get them online or come down to the mall and check it out. Be a lot of fun.
That's amazing. Awful. What do you got going on?
Maxed Out Media. We just broke.
I was talking to Awful.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Wow.
It broke up a little bit, and I was going by order. No, you go, Awful, and you go.
AEW FUL Wrestling on Twitter, and that's where you can find me.
What do you got going on?
You're talking to me. It broke up anyway. Maxed Out Media. We missed this week because of the holiday and the pay-per-view. And I think actually our next video is not going to be a short. I think our next video is going to be. I think we're going to be doing a little me and him playing 2K24. He wants to talk wrestling, so I told him we can play some 2K24 and talk some wrestling while it goes on. So you might be seeing that. I will be out of town this weekend, so I don't know if I'm going to make it. But the next couple of weeks we'll have that, and then the Discord. I'm going to make that open starting next week. I'm going to have an open invite on my Twitter thing. So at AEW Disciplinary, if you want to follow me, it will be just probably in my profile starting next week, and you can join there. It's going great. That Discord, we've cultivated a really cool community there.
Yeah, it's been a really great thing so far. Do we really want to mess with that? I'm kidding.
We got to give John a workout. We got to.
No, I'm a big fan of what we got going on over there, and Awful and I pop in there occasionally as well. This is in there a lot. Travis Heckle's in there. Beard is in there. Mish from Wrestling Soup is in there. So there's a lot of good folks to interact with in there.
Indeed.
But bring trouble, and we will kick you out so fast. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's when, especially once we're open wide, we're going to be a little more strict about things. Then,
yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, that does it for the show this week, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. Thank you so much to everybody who super chatted, everyone who chatted. Thank you to our producer, AEW Neckbeard, with whom the show is not possible. You guys really are the driving force that makes this happen. Thank you so much, my wonderful panel. To my incredible guest, Ant Evans. Thank you. You are welcome back on the show anytime, my friend. Second appearance for you, but I guarantee not the last. All right, folks. For everyone
Still not right back.
Yeah, still not Ryback. Everyone here at Tooney Town Wrestling. I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. Now, good night.